Hey everybody, tonight we are debating flat Earth versus globe Earth, and we are starting right now with Shane and Allan representing the flat side. Thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours, Shane, for your opening statement.
Oh, actually, I have a quick video we can play to get us going. But what's up, everyone? Great to be
Okay,
here
just to be
finally. Love
sure
the
it's not
show.
copyrighted video, right?
No, it's one I made for this specifically.
Okay, you got it.
It does have Nicki Minaj in the background, though,
I
right?
like
Or
that.
did you take that out?
I think it's an AI appropriate copyright-free
Oh,
version,
okay.
though.
No, we're good.
We need this, Shane. Go ahead, roll the footage.
All right, share video with volume. Share sound. There we go.
But don't make me shut it down, because if it is something that's copyrighted on YouTube, I have to.
Ad hom. Paid $10 to ad hom.
The letters and the turtle and a bear in the background.
Do we get sound here? Can we hear everything?
We can do so without.
Yep. Sound.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Here.
Wait, by the way, this isn't
I
your
do know
opening.
We can have
This isn't
a
your opening, is it?
educational discourse out that we can do.
What?
This is not your opening, is it?
What do you mean opening?
Like your opening speech.
Oh, I thought that's what you were doing.
No, an opening speech is where you give it live,
What?
not pre-record it. I even put this in the description that because it's so annoying. People, it's a live debate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give a live opening. Don't play a recording of you like recording it earlier for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the null hypothesis, right? In which case we put forth one hypothesis being our H naught, and we try to falsify it. And then if we don't falsify it, then we fall back to H1, right, as our alternative hypothesis. The way that we put forth our position on flat Earth versus globe is we frame it via the null hypothesis. So our actual position is H naught.
Okay, just to be sure, we can see your browser, but we can't see if you're showing something other than our browser, which conveniently it looks like your last search was of modern day
my
debate.
bad. Where'd the thing go?
You have way too many tabs open, by the way.
Yeah.
Makes me anxious every time he screen shares. That's way too many tabs.
Doesn't.
I'm a little nervous myself. One of these is bound to be illegal. Go ahead. That was a joke, folks. Come on. But it could be illegal.
Yeah. Boy, is that the one I'm sharing? All right, I got it. I got this. I didn't know I couldn't do the thing that I set up, James. My bad.
People want it live. The mob wants more blood and they want it live.
I respect that. It looks like you're sharing the proper 69 mile per degree obsidian screen share.
Yeah, no, not that one. Hold on 1 second. There we go.
Apologies about that, guys. I did not forward those rules to Shane, and I didn't read them myself. I always do them live, so I didn't think about it.
Well, yeah, Allan, why don't you just go right now, actually? Just take it over for a minute.
Sounds good. Just end screen sharing whenever you're. There we go.
All right, I just turned off the screen share. Allan, ready for you.
Oh, it popped back on.
Looks like Shane started sharing again. Shane, if Allan's going to present, he's got to be able to share his screen.
I didn't do anything. How do I turn it off?
You got a virus from going on those websites I told you not to go on. Now I stopped your sharing. Okay, go ahead. That was a joke. Come on. Go ahead, Allan. Floor is yours.
Yep, I'm trying to.
Am I still sharing?
No, I stopped it. The suspense is
Oh.
killing everybody right now. I can tell. I can see in chat. The suspense is killing them.
Content from.
Look at Melvin. Look at how
Oh, here we
self-satisfied
go.
he is over there. Like, look how
There we
happy
go.
you're making him.
There we go.
Okay, ready.
All right, you guys ready? Good?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to change the argumentation format to be in the form of a hypothesis versus a null hypothesis. The reason for doing this is we can analyze evidence in a way that gives falsification so that we can have a mutually exclusive outcome. So the Earth is either flat or it's either a globe. Now, if we falsify our null hypothesis, then that gives evidence that the Earth is likely a globe. So a quick refresher on how the null hypothesis works, you can turn to the US justice system, where innocence is presumed and that has to be falsified so that you can be convicted for guilt, right? So innocent until proven guilty is the staple here. So if you're going to provide something other than the null, you need to provide mutually exclusive evidence that can falsify that or show that that's likely false. Now, I can't tell you what the shape of the Earth is, but I can tell you what it likely isn't using this scientific method that's also approved for how drugs and whatnot are administered, like when they do surveys and stuff on them. All right, so we also have how we're going to interpret the measurements that are going to be put forward to show mutual exclusivity. And this is all going to be done optically, right? So like theodolite measurements, looking at the stars, positions of stars, etc. So we need to understand the visual field and the spatial field, where it is asserted by the mainstream that both are Euclidean, when in fact there's a deviation from this spatial field. The spatial field is best represented by logarithmic geometry, in my opinion, because it's clearly not Euclidean. And what they put forward is that you can use curvature. You can use curvatures of different types. So hyperbolic. You can use negative curvature constants. You can use spherical curvature, all to describe different observations. But under different experiments, these different curvature theories fail to explain the physical location, the Euclidean three-dimensional location of an object under these experiments when they're done. So there is no unified optic theory that explains everything all at once unless you incorporate them all. That's why I say it's logarithmic, because along that scale, you could incorporate the hyperbolic, ecliptical, and spherical and linear geometry along that based off of relative distance to you. So this is an ongoing debate that's been going on since at least over a century now, since the mid 1800s. So in addition to that, astronomy is built up in how we perceive the stars in the realm around us is through a dome of vision. And this is true no matter what model you believe in. Here we have astronomy from a book from the 1920s, New and Old Astronomy, where they're talking about how we see in a dome. And this creates the illusion that we see the sky in a perceived dome, but that's just an illusion because the Earth is actually a sphere, so don't be tricked. But that's what they acknowledge and put forward, that we see a hemisphere of the sky projected into our dome of vision. And of course, this corresponds to ground positions, which will later be turned into a map. But still, it's important to understand how everything is apparent. We only see the apparent, never the physical. And this is also noted in a 1970s book on what's it called? Solar panels, where they note here, they say the sky dome is the visible hemisphere above the horizon in all directions, right? So what they're saying here is that relative to the time of year and relative to your latitude, you're going to perceive the sun arc across the sky as if it's in your dome of vision, and the elevation will correspond to your latitude and also the time of year. Now, NASA is explaining the same thing with the moon illusion, and where the moon appears bigger than they say it is for its physical size. And here's the diagram that they're giving about the true position of a celestial body versus the apparent that we see. And we never see the true, always the apparent, right? There's not two moons, there's not two suns. We only ever see the apparent. And here we have, so that's to understand that this is true on either model, no matter what you believe. Now, we have what we talked about earlier with the stars being mapped to ground positions here. So we have a coordinate system called the graticule. Well, this is represented by the latitude and longitude lines of this coordinate system, and this can be projected over different types. So we have cylindrical, conical, globular, azimuthal, equidistant. You can, anything that does this, that uses the lat long, as long as you use the corresponding corrections or use the projection in the correct way, you will get the desired outcome that will get you to where you're going with respect to positions of the stars. So if this is true on a flat Earth, where your azimuthal grid follows you around as you move relative to your latitude, you perceive the sky projected into a local dome, no matter where the physical objects are, if they exist at all, is true. Same for the globe here. We're looking at the exact same thing. These are equivalent. Neither one falsifies the other. They're all using the same latitude longitude systems, which is just indicative of a position of celestial bodies at a specific time. It does not assert any dynamics. So what's the proper way to analyze this? Are we going to look through a theodolite and simply say the Earth measures flat, the Earth measures globe? Well, no, that would be insane because we're not using an external reference, and the only external reference that we have is already asserted by the graticule, so we need to falsify that. So we're going to say that the Earth measures flat or it measures globular with respect to the stars, right? Now, we're going to use empirical observation of the motion of the sky and the known positions of the stars and the units of measurement of distance that are derived from that graticule coordinate system with respect to those positions of the stars to test and do a falsification of our hypothesis and null hypothesis using the relative elevation angle based on how far away an observer is and the relative elevation between that observer and a physical obstruction, i.e. a mountain peak, for example. So we have an observer here and we have a distance and we have the elevation between them. We can use trigonometric functions to determine what that corresponding angle should be. Once we have that angle, we can go into stellarium. We can go on top of this mountain peak with that same exact angle. We could wait until a star matches up with that angle, and we could write down the time. We could wait down here on the ground at our observation point, and when we're looking in the sky, when that star intersects with that mountain peak at that specific time, if we can no longer see that star, that means that that star is physically obstructed by that mountain peak, right? We don't care about refraction or anything like that, because if it's no longer visible, it's no longer being refracted. That's all that matters. And this gives mutually exclusive outcomes based on the trigonometric functions, because one is planar, so one will show the elevation angle of this being higher based on just the trig function, and the other one, removing 8 inches per mile squared away from the distance, will leave you with about minus 200 feet. So when we plot this out, we get two mutually exclusive predictions and outcomes for the positions of the stars and that mountain peak for the timing in which it gets occluded. It'll take longer for the star to get lower in the horizon, so the globe predicts a longer time, right? So what we have here is 39 measurements over seven different mountain peaks in different locations and different times that show times that only correspond to a flat Earth. And when you use this trigonometric function here, where the altitude of the peak is equal to the altitude of the observer plus the distance to the peak times the tangent of the true elevation angle, you can backwards derive what the actual physical elevation would have to be to correspond to that angle. And you can compare plus or minus to the globe measurements. And from that, you can take differentials from the two and see which is true or not on average. And we don't have a single measurement that corresponds to globularity here. Now, I ask you, if alpha is equal to alpha, then by those trigonometric functions, the Earth is measuring planar with respect to the stars. That is a geometric falsification of our ability to falsify our null hypothesis, right? So if the Earth were a globe and we had different timings, if alpha did not equal alpha, then our null hypothesis would be falsified and the Earth would likely be a globe. And I would be here debating two other people as a glober. I'd be the glober debating two flat earthers, and I'd be zipping them up with this, because this is a mutually exclusive measurement. You won't find any mutually exclusive evidence in this debate, very likely. All right, so to argue against this, you would have to suggest that Trigonometry is an unreliable witness, which is ironically how the globe is supposed to be proven. So is Pythagoras a liar? Well, claiming that the Earth is a globe without mutually exclusive evidence is using and affirming the consequent fallacy. That's why we're using the null and null hypothesis analysis to apply to our cosmological and physical reality. All right, that is the end.
Thank you very much. We'll kick it over to Shane. Thrilled to have you here as well. I'm going to pick, let's see, unless you're going to show Shane's PowerPoints from your side, Allan, in which case you can just pull those up. Otherwise, I'm going to cut off your
Yep.
screen share.
Yep, no worries. Go ahead and cut it off.
You got it. So let's see. Shane, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decline only because otherwise it'll show both your and Allan's at the same time. Let me just first stop participant sharing, and then I am ready for you, Shane, for your PowerPoint. If you
All
want to hit
right.
that share button one more
There
time.
we go. All right. Good. Hold on,
Yes,
let me
sir. Thank you.
maximize that.
Perfect.
Right. So to go along with what Allan said, we argue from the null hypothesis position, right? Our position here is that Earth is planar and measurements of curvature are thus dependent on the position of celestial bodies. So we're going to offer some evidence that that is the case. Also, the alternative position would be the Earth is globular, right? And measurements of curvature are independent of celestial bodies. Not so, as we will see as we move forward, right? So some evidence we're going to put forth real quick is some laser measurements from FE Core done in 2018. Something you'll hear repeated often in these debates is that flat earthers never bring evidence, never bring measurements. As Allan just presented, we have celestial theodolite measurements and evidence, of which I believe, if you look at the summation, is about 39 different measurements from 7 different peaks. And over here, we're going to have different, I think, 7 different measurements as well within 2 different places of extreme flatness, absence of curvature. Of course, if the Earth is a sphere of radius 3959, it has to bend with an observed rate, 8 inches per mile squared. Laser tests falsify this observation in plenty. Here's a very well-known published document of all their data, the instruments they used, the results they got, the corrections they made, the variables that they controlled for, including refraction, temperature, atmospheric opacity. They did everything they possibly could. They had a custom built laser, this thing right here, they call it the salad, and then they built it to make these precise measurements. And over again on each 7th measurement, for all 7 measurements, continue to falsify the curvature rate. So this would be evidence to support the measurements of flatness as we move forward, right? All of these separate measurements have all the different calculations. They did the globe side, they accommodated for the spheroid model even. We went for the WGS84 corrections over here, and they corrected for humidity, temperature, literally every variable that you'd want to control. Here's all the instruments and technical data. I'll post both the link to this PDF and the video in the chat in a second. Here's the first measurement. Here's the second measurement. Every single time, absence
Just to
of
let you
curvature.
know,
So
we are at 12 minutes. If you guys would like a couple more minutes, that's okay. But that's 12 minutes, or I started it at the start of Allan's presentation, just so you know where we're
I
at.
could do like 30-second wrap up. I'm
Sure.
good.
You bet.
Cool. So the other side of this would be the measurements of curvature as in geodetic surveying, which has to have previous dimensions of the Earth known. You can refer to the American Arc of the Parallel, MCToon.net, at which you'll find copious amounts of corrections to longitude, latitude tables and adherence to the spherical graticule, right? Corrections to latitude, longitude, as we see here. Of course, if they don't have these spheroid measurements, don't fit the curvature of the arc, they'll swap out the spheroid model on the fly. That's the point of having multiple models. So that would mean that we failed to falsify the original hypothesis that, of course, Earth is planar with respect to the star. With respect to the stars, because all measurements of curvature have to comport to the stars. So I'll end it there.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to do is stop your share. And then I want to let you know, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We want to welcome you, no matter what walk of life you are from, flat, globe, you name it. We are glad that you are here. This is a fully neutral debate platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And last but not least, if you have not already, we would appreciate if you would share or follow, better yet, both, our Facebook for Modern Day Debate. Facebook sets up weekly goals for me. No joke. They do. They assign them to you And right now we are one follower away on Facebook from meeting our weekly goal. So if you can give me a pity follow, I would be so grateful. I pinned the Modern Day Debate Facebook page at the top of the live chat. And with that, we're going to kick it over to our Globe friends who are here as well. Starting with, I hadn't asked you guys before, pardon. Who would like to go first between the two of you, McGlobeface and MC Tune?
You can go if
I
you
can,
like, and I'll mop it
yeah.
up.
Cool.
I can go.
Perfect.
I'm going to share my screen.
Ready.
All right. You getting that?
Yes.
All right. Well, you may know, everybody, that I went to Antarctica in December, and that was quite a trip. Thank you to everybody that helped pay for it. So I'm going to also present some hypotheses. Now, this hypothesis and null hypothesis stuff is a rather rigid way. It's not necessary to do experiments. You can just simply falsify things, and it doesn't absolutely always require a null hypothesis. It doesn't necessarily follow that you can always even put together a null hypothesis. So anyway, we've got 4. Experiment number 1 that we did there was whether or not the sun circles 24 hours a day. The globe predicts that it will, and flat Earth has true predictions. They weren't very consistent about that. Flat earthers generally said that the sun would set, but if you actually apply the geometry, that the sun would actually be due north at local solar noon, and then move sideways, and then at local solar midnight, it would also be due north. And so when so either of those 2 predictions we will be testing, we did test. And what did we see? Well, in fact, this is what we saw. We saw the sun do circles 24 hours a day. There is no prediction for flat Earth that we would see the sun due south. I'll pause it when it's due south. I gotta play it again. I'll show you it. Right there, play again. So right over there, that is due south. In fact, you can see on the bottom of the screen there, I've got some snow boulders that I put together. We used the globe model to predict the angle of the shadows and of the sundial, and the length of the sundial based on previously computed based on the radius of the globe and the position of the sun in relation to the globe, and they completely matched. It was absolutely another confirmation of the globe. But this is simply about whether or not the sun is seen due south, and was seen due south. So if the Earth is a disk, as both Allan and Shane presented in their presentation, then the sun would have to be 180 degrees opposite, absolute opposite direction. The margin of error of this is all of it, all of the error. All right. So globe prediction confirmed and flat Earth prediction falsified. Experiment number 6, we saw star trails when we were there. So the flat Earth predicts something very specific, and the globe predicts something specific. The globe predicts that there will be a single center of rotation seen due south, and the flat Earth prediction is that there will be horizontally moving stars when you look due south. And this is the globe prediction, a 3-dimensional prediction of the globe here in just some software showing what it's supposed to look like. And here is I have behind me, I have that dome here. So the dome model that both Shane and Allan presented. There it is. I put stars on it, and I used a black light. That's what the color is. And there you go. You can see these stars are moving horizontally. That's the flat Earth prediction. Horizontally moving stars when looking due south, especially from the south where we were in Punta Arenas. So there's our 2 predictions. What did we see? In fact, this was the video that I took. It's a series of stills that are stacked in the P1000. We saw the star trails going around a center of rotation clockwise in the sky. So it matches the globe prediction when we look south. This is a video that Will Duffy took. Again, there is
stars moving around a center of rotation there that we see due south. All right. And let's look at the declination for A Crux and Beta Hydri. There they are in the globe celestial sphere, right there, near the center there, the south celestial pole. And then we've got, here they are on flat Earth. We saw them both at the same time while looking due south, at the southern tip of South America. We looked south and saw them south, but yet they were opposite each other, nearly 180 degrees opposite each other, nowhere near south of Punta Arenas, yet we saw them both at the same time in the sky south of us. Amazing stuff. And there you go, 6 hours later, this is where they were. One of them was due south of us, the other one was due north, yet we saw both of them due south. There you go, globe prediction was confirmed, and once again, the flat Earth prediction was falsified. And what did we do? We applied trigonometry to figure that out. Amazing. Thank you for your affirmation, both of you, of trigonometry doing the job. All right, that's my presentation. Over to you, Globey.
Ready
All
for
right.
you, McGlobeface.
Very good. All right. Let me see if I can just share this.
Excellent.
All right, you guys got that?
Yep.
Oh, I'm way far ahead. Hold on. Got a lot of stuff here. All right. So I'm glad Allan mentioned mutually exclusive evidence, because we're going to show some mutually exclusive evidence. But also we're going to show how predictions can be made. Okay. So the globe is symmetric. I think everyone agrees on that. Flat Earth is not symmetric. Okay. So we would expect on a globe things that happen in the northern hemisphere mirror those that happen in the southern hemisphere. This is just geometry. Okay. So you can see how the Tropic Capricorn is much longer here in the flat Earth than it is on the globe. Obviously, they predicted to be the same length, right? So how do we test something like this? Well, some simple observations that are mutually exclusive are direct flights. American Airlines 52 at 27 degrees north latitude matches that of Qantas 64 flight at 26 degrees south latitude. Almost the same exact latitudes. They both fly 7,000 miles about. They both fly the same speeds. They both fly there at about 11 and a half hours. So that alone is just a mutual exclusive thing for the globe. I mean, it's symmetric, right? This flight on flat Earth would look something crazy like this. Direct flight, right? Even if you fly straight across and don't fly around this arc, which you do according to the flight data, it doesn't make any sense. These are the same times and distances, right? But it makes perfect sense on the globe because the globe's symmetric, right? This is what we expect. Another example of the same thing. This is China Airlines 6, Qantas Flight 27, 34 degrees north and south latitude. Again, direct flights that completely disprove flat Earth. Both of these are about 11 and a half hours as well. About the same speed and distance as well. So again, that's what this would look like. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. That thing on the right's a cartoon, right? It doesn't exist. Direct flights prove that. Tune showed this a second ago, so I'll go past it pretty quick, but this is a mirror image of each other, right? North and south celestial poles. They mirror each other. They mirror each other because the globe's symmetric, okay? The bottom left is the prediction on a flat Earth, as Tune showed. Doesn't follow that prediction, right? Flat Earthers have to invoke magic light bending of 180 degrees and domes of vision that follow you around with personal suns that follow you around and personal stars. It's nonsense. You can put two phones on a ball and spin it and get the exact thing we're looking at here. Opposite rotations, right? Something so silly and simple to show the symmetry of the ball. I did this observation myself live on TikTok. This is the Southern Cross from
Australia and from South Africa, right? At the same exact time. Okay. Both looking south-southwest on a compass. So much like Tune was showing, this is 90 degrees apart on flat Earth. But we were both seeing them looking south-southwest in reality at the same time. Why is that? Because everyone looking north, everyone looking south is looking in the same directions at the same time. It's symmetric. I just lost something. Oh, sorry, lost audio for a second. Symmetry, 15 hours of sunlight in Chile and 15 hours of sunlight in at 40 degrees north, where that is, about New York, at the same time of year. Well, exact opposite times of year, right? So that's symmetry. How can there be 15 hours of light in the south and the north at the exact 6 months apart? Doesn't make any sense on a flat Earth. Right? Then we got paths of the sun. I don't know how much I'm doing on time here. Any check? 3 minutes. All right, I'll go fast. Path of the sun. If you're standing here looking west at the sunset, the sun is south of you or north of you. It doesn't matter. That sun is going this way around flat Earth. That's the prediction. Top right, that's the prediction. Yet what we see is it going to the left. It goes to the left because Earth's a globe. You're tilted a different direction in the southern hemisphere than the northern hemisphere. It's very simple. This is what we expect on a globe. Symmetry. Equator, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. Okay? That can't happen on a flat Earth. And last but not least, coordinate systems, right? You mentioned coordinate systems. You have to transform them. Thank you, Allan, again. You have to transform coordinate systems to work on one model versus the other. We use a spherical coordinate system, right? So if you check this airport here, which I placed markers on, the length of that airport based on the markers, if you take those GPS locations and use the Haversine formula, which is the great circle distance over a sphere, you end up with 10,824 feet. That matches what the stated length of that runway is, right? And this is in the northern hemisphere. It's Chicago O'Hare. Now it's about 2 minutes. 2 minutes of separation, longitude lines. Okay. Same thing in Chile, in Punta Arenas in Chile. They're about the same length. This one's 9,000 feet, a little bit shorter. But if you place the GPS markers on them, you get the same distance, 87 feet. Okay. This would never work on a flat Earth. As you know, lines of longitude spread out as it goes south. Right. I have that here. They spread out as they go south. So if you're not applying the correct transform to this, you would never get the correct answer. You can't apply globe coordinate system to a flat Earth, right? So these coordinates would never line up on a flat Earth. So I'll end it there, and thank you.
Thank you very much for that opening as well. Now, folks, we are very excited. What I'm going to do is pop us out of the screen share mode and other quick housekeeping things first. Folks, it's still linked there. If you'd like to give a pity follow to the Modern Day Debate Facebook page, it is appreciated. It's still pinned at the top of the chat and other housekeeping stuff. We are going to have a Q&A after this open dialogue section. So this open dialogue section right now, it's going to be about 50 or so minutes. Then we're going to go to the Q&A, and that goes for however long. We also want to let you know you could submit a question either via Super Chat, or you can do it the standard way, which is tagging me in the chat with Modern Day Debate and asking your question. Super Chats are at the top of the list, though. We read through those first. With that, gentlemen, the floor is all yours for open dialogue.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'd like to draw particular attention to the fact that it was stated that falsification is sometimes not needed. Well, if you're saying something that can't be falsified, you're not saying anything scientific. And if you're trying to assert physics and cosmology and the shape of the earth and geometry, then it needs to be a scientific assertion. Now, when you get into
Who said that falsification is not important?
You did at the beginning of your
Immediately.
No, I didn't.
No hypothesis. Yeah.
You
I didn't
opened
say
up
that
with
at all.
it and
No,
said
I didn't say that at all.
specifically that in some cases
I
it's not even
specifically
needed.
didn't say that at all.
I don't remember hearing that.
Don't stick words in my mouth. That's rude.
Moderator.
You're starting out lying about me right
some
away.
water.
Wow, amazing.
Moderator.
Falsification is critical. I specifically tested 2 different hypotheses. One was falsified. That's the point. The other was confirmed.
Did you hear his opening statement about falsification and how it's not important and sometimes blah, blah, blah?
I said the null hypothesis is not critical.
The whole if what you're saying can't be falsified, it's not scientific.
I didn't say it could. I didn't say it couldn't be falsified. I said the null hypothesis is not critical. You do not have to have a null hypothesis to do a falsification test.
Then whatever you're falsifying isn't scientifically relevant then. If you're trying to do something of noteworthiness, you need a null hypothesis.
No, you don't.
Okay, well then good luck. How would you get your PhD then? You know that they do that through a null hypothesis, right?
Oh, James, do you have a PhD? Did you have to have a null hypothesis?
Instead of dragging me into the debate, I do want to just redirect us. So, gentlemen, are there any points from the openings that you would like to discuss that you've been burning, just with a burning desire deep in your loins, that have not been covered yet?
Yes. Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
Let's address the laser measurements from FE Core in 2018. The only way that would be not mutually exclusive, right, is if you argue refraction at any distance. Now, that was a measurement over 7.5 miles, but there isn't an actual distance that you could tell me that where we can make an observation past that where you wouldn't claim refraction if it's made. So that also would be an unfalsifiable position, unless you can give me a distance at which we can make an observation at which you will discount refraction.
James, you mind if I share screen? All right. Here is from the FE Core document there. You see this is measurement number 5. They measured the temperature at water level and at 2 meters above the surface of the water. You can see here 11.4 degrees Celsius at water level and 13.3 degrees Celsius at 2 meters above the water level. That's almost 2 degrees Celsius difference. Now, this is called the lapse rate, is the amount of temperature change in a vertical linear distance. The refraction, when you have refraction like this, this causes refraction. When you have 1 degree Celsius per 10 meters, then that causes the arc of the curve of light to have a radius of about 6,370 kilometers.
The radius of Earth, oh man.
And this was an even steeper gradient, a significantly steeper gradient. So this is documentation showing that the radius of the arc of light is going to be significantly less than the radius of the surface of the Earth has been measured. So now when they did it, they didn't actually compute the effects of refraction correctly. They did it horizontally instead of vertically. I don't know why. It was pretty embarrassing for them. But anyway, this is right here confirmation of the globe right here, because this is showing how incredibly strong they needed the refraction to be in order to see it at that distance.
So when can refraction cannot account for curvature, right? So we're looking for falsifiability. At what distance would we make an observation that you wouldn't induce refraction?
Why didn't they account for
refraction?
refraction? Why didn't they account for it properly?
Of course they did. You just argue that they don't because it's unfalsifiable.
They didn't do it right.
We started, right?
Bring up where they did the refraction. Go ahead. Show us in the document.
The point of bringing up the laser measurements,
let's see it.
right,
Let's see where they did that.
Unfalsifiable for you, right? Because
please show us where they included that in their observation.
Is there a reason why you won't bring it up?
Which is why we bring it to the celestial theodolite, which is mutually
no. You brought up FE Core. You're running from the FE Core measurement now. Thank you very much for running from your own first law of Flerf confirmation.
No, showing you that the unfalsifiable position of refraction, and no matter what the distance,
James, I'll share. James, I can share
it, right? That's why the
I can share what he
mutually exclusive.
Yeah, James, I'll share what he's
presented in a dichotomy as we reduced it to, then you can't eke out of it with these ridiculous refraction claims.
All right, James, do you see my share here?
Yes.
Okay, so here is the just a couple pages later. Here they are using this is their attempt to compute the amount of refraction. And what they did is they took the temperature at one side and they took the temperature at the other side. They did not take the vertical temperature gradient. And then they treated it as two distinct mediums, only two mediums instead of a continuous medium, which would be wrong, even if you're going to do it horizontally, which is the wrong way. And then they just used the modified Edlin equation, the fine equation, but they applied it incorrectly. You need to do it vertically. They did it horizontally. Right here, this is embarrassing, horribly embarrassing, low quality understanding of what's going on and how to compute refraction. Go to Andrew Thomas Young's website at San Diego State University. He goes over all of the ways that you can do this. He has citations. He is the one that has citations of the 1 degree Celsius per 10 meters vertical lapse rate will give you a radius of the Earth, a radius of the arc matching the radius of the Earth. And again, when doing it correctly, you will find that that the lapse rate is significantly stronger than that, giving a radius of the arc of much shorter than the radius of the globe.
It
Infinite
almost looks
refraction.
like
Got it.
it almost looks like they assumed the Earth was flat when they did that calculation. Okay.
Everybody on the same page? Why did it get so quiet?
Oh no, sorry, I was just waiting. Okay, so well, it's important to note, like even if the refraction had been done correctly, right? There's different types of refraction that could be applied, different coefficients. What Shane pointed out earlier in the arc of the parallel that gives agreement to the coordinate system is riddled with different refraction coefficients that are applied and different lateral refraction assumptions that are made. So when you get
Let's see 'em.
into
I don't
love
want
to see 'em.
I don't interrupt,
Okay,
but this is your
okay,
test, right?
yeah, just 1 second.
Okay.
As I'm continuing, right, Shane will pull them up in the background saying, like, let's see them. They're there. He's got them. So I'm going to continue on now. But anyway, this is why it's important to have something that can differentiate between these measurements, right? Because you're asserting that there's a refraction that was erroneously calculated. We're asserting that the measurement was good, and that there could be. Let's give refraction the benefit of the doubt there. What can we do to satisfy the conditions of our null hypothesis that are independent of refraction? That's why we turn to the celestial theodolite when an object is actually blocked. Because when you introduce evidence that isn't falsifiable, right? Which we talked about earlier, how there's not if it's not falsifiable, if there's no limit that's too far before you can on that equation for refraction, then there's no limit, right? So we can't falsify it in that way. So we're going to introduce. So that's why we introduced the celestial theodolite. So whenever you guys want to get to that,
But we're done with the lasers. Just want to be clear.
sure. No, we could, yeah.
What equipment
so
was used for that observation?
for the observation of what, the celestial theodolite?
Yeah.
Ooh, I have to look.
Do we
I'd-
know?
I'd have to look. Yeah, the specs are available. I don't know off the top of my head. It's a star. What do they call it? A star seeker or something like that.
No, that's
It
a
was-
telescope. What was the
it was
angle
a-
measuring device?
Yeah, theodolite used.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, you're not familiar with the celestial theodolite, real quick, because you're thinking like an actual.
I asked you what equipment you used for your observation. Your
I got you.
David
I got
White
you.
8300, I think.
No,
When he
that's for the measurement with not doing the celestial theodolite.
Yes, it is.
No, that's a measurement with
It's
a
on-
theodolite.
It's on your own video from.
It's it, buddy. The measurement is done for comparison, right?
I mean,
Listen.
you don't have to call me buddy. I mean.
Oh, sorry. You're right.
This is your video right here, right, Shane?
Yes.
Okay. This
Listen.
is the David White 8300 that they used
is
to take
the-
the measurement over the mountain.
Can you stop interrupting, please? That is a David White 8300. That is not the celestial theodolite that we're talking about.
It's conceptual, right? So
This is but he talks about using that and how to measure on the vernier scale
This-
on the
thi- thi-
theodolite.
This isn't used for the celestial theodolite, though. Do you understand that?
Okay,
can
go
we-
ahead and
can-
explain it. Go ahead.
How
Okay,
did you
great.
get the elevation of the mountain?
How did he get the elevation of the angle? Trigonometry. So he took the difference in elevation between him and the mountain peak and the elevation of the mountain peak. And then you can do trig to get the elevation for that. The tangent of that
I'm
is the
very
angle.
confused because this whole article, this whole video, and all your videos since then talk about measuring the angle to the mountain peak using the theodolite. and then
No,
measuring the
that's-
star
no,
angle
that's-
with
no,
the
they're not.
no,
That's
no,
ridiculous.
one second. No, that is explicitly not what they say at all. That is a complete straw man of all those videos. That is not what they're about. They're about using a mountain peak and star occlusion timings to tell the difference on the relative angle. The beginning measurement showing that David White 8300 is for a comparison for optical measurements, because the premise, right, the optical field and the spatial field are different. So we bought an old device, took a measurement optically, right, for the comparison, just the raw measurement to see what it would be, and then he used the celestial theodolite for the comparison. So what you're asserting is not relevant to anything. Now, I'll tell you this though, I'm not hiding from this. This
It's
is the
relevant.
point. This, you know what? It is relevant because this is the exact point of it. Because when you point that device to that mountain, guess what angle it measures?
I-
Guess. Go ahead.
I don't know. 2 degrees, 31 minutes.
About 2 degrees and
3 minutes.
So that one in particular measured, he said measured the right angle, but then he got a better device. He got a Sokia something or whatever, measured 2 degrees and 19 arc minutes, right? Which corresponds to the globe prediction. Very cool, right?
Sure.
But our premise, remember, is that there's optical compression. We don't know if the Earth is curved or if this is an optical effect, right? So what we do with the celestial theodolite, now that we have our theodolite measurement for comparison, we've done our optical on the ground with the theodolite, we've got what the globe predicts, right? Now we calculate what the relative angle would be to that mountain with plane trigonometry, and we get the actual raw angle, and we go to Stellarium. Can I screen share real quick so I could show this the diagram? Oh, he's AFK. What the ruck? Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Share. 1 second. It'll be nice to have the diagram for you guys. Okay. All right. So once we have our relative angle, the calculated angle, right? Differing from the
It's not showing yet. It says Allan has started screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode.
I've seen that before.
It says on my end that I am properly
Sometimes
screen
if
sharing.
you just stop and restart the share, it might help.
I just stopped it. Let's give it a second shot, Allan.
Okay, 1 second. Let me get back. Where's my Zoom? Did I get disconnected? Join meeting.
Let's see. Now not even the black page is showing. When it says, I think someone in chat said, James, you have to click it. No, that's not how it works, Beasticles. Because what it's saying for me in terms of if I double click it, that just means that it would make it full screen for me, but it wouldn't change like the content of what's being shown. So let's give it another shot. Allan disappeared. Okay. Let's see. What we'll do is kick it over to, I don't know what happened. Any other thoughts from the debate? We'll wait for Allan to come back. But in the meantime, were there points that you guys wanted to address besides those?
Yeah, you guys mentioned the graticule, right? Globey brought up coordinate systems could only be spherical. Well, that's patently false, right?
Didn't say that. Don't straw man me.
You did. Well, what did you say?
I didn't say they can only be spherical. I said we use spherical coordinates.
Okay.
All right, sorry about
All right,
that.
my bad. So
Okay,
There's
we're
a big
ready for you to
difference.
show. Go ahead. We're ready for your sweet screen share.
Awesome.
James, you can drag now in Zoom to rearrange the panes if you
There
need
we
to.
go.
That's been like that for like 10 years, Melvin.
Oh, I'm so far behind. James is ahead of
Boomer.
me on this.
Okay. Go
Okay.
ahead. Ready.
All right, so once we have our calculated angle relative to our distance, right, we can
Calculated
go.
out. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I need to understand
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Got you. So we have our observer here on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have our distance away from a mountain, right? And we could reference, let's see, what I reference is this website right here. I'll give
Is
it
that
to
a
you.
flat Earth distance or is that a
Oh no, it's
Haversine
using
distance?
it's using your boy Haversine. It's Haversine now.
So you're using
So-
Havers. Okay, go ahead.
The Haversine is a
It's kind of a
spherical trigonometric function.
Kind of
used
a
for
first law thing here. Okay.
Okay, please don't interrupt. But the Haversine, right, is a spherical trigonometric function that's used on a graticule, which is a spherical coordinate system to compute distances between latitude or longitudes. So it's fine, dude. That's part, and it's, hold on one second. And it's also using units of measurement that are derived from the coordinate system. So of course it comports and works accordingly. Now the purpose of this is to test independently the geometry of the ground and the sky using both of them together instead of just using empirical observation, because the graticule, I don't know if you know this, but was derived from astrogeodetic surveying, which means that they took single zenith measurement observations of stars, and when they didn't get the angle that they thought was going to be where it would line up with their telescope, then they just asserted that the difference was due to Earth curvature. So that observation can't tell you alone the shape of the Earth. So was there something you wanted to add on?
Yeah,
or ask a question about?
I have a question. So you have there the angle there over at the vantage point of 2 degrees is at 31 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you have the angle at the top of the peak there as 2 degrees and 31 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now,
Determined by
but
the
they're
occlusion.
50 some kilometers away. So where did the numbers come from for those 2 minutes 31 2 degrees 31
Exactly.
minutes?
Exactly.
From the Theodolite
So no,
that he told me he didn't use before.
the Theodolite doesn't give an angle of 231. It gives an angle of 219. If you actually watch the presentation,
Okay.
as
But
you
where did-
asserted, hold on one second.
Where did the
If you-
231
hold on
come
one
from?
second. I'm in the middle of telling you. If you actually watch the presentation as you asserted, Globey, you would know that the measurement comported with the globe, right? With what the globe predicts at 219. This calculation comes from taking the distance, right, and the relative elevation between the mountain and the observer. There's a whole spreadsheet we can show to calculate this.
Well,
Right,
the words off your
just doing that.
presentation say that means the elevation of the visitor center should be 2 degrees and 31 feet above my level if the Earth is flat. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, first of all, that was Mike Heffron's PDF that
That's
he
what I'm
wrote,
talking about.
right? And it should be.
Okay.
Right? We're talking about this part of the measurements now, right? Whatever you're talking about, just focus on this because this is super important here, right? So for the measurement for Pikes Peak, where they say, where we have this 31 arc minutes, right? This comes from the distance, right? Which comes from the trigonometric functions from your boy, the Haversine, right? Which comes from the graticule, which gives us the units of measurement to even do this with, right? Now, that gives us an angle though, regardless. So we have this angle now. So now that we have our angle, do you agree that we can use trigonometry that we can get the tangent of this by knowing the elevation angle or by knowing the elevation difference and the distance? If we have those, we can get an angle, right? Any disagreements with Pythagoras?
I'm still curious. I'm still curious on I need some clarification. At the vantage point 2, you have also 2 degrees 31 minutes. Where did that number come from?
Yes. So what that number comes from is the intersection timing of when the observer on the ground no longer sees that star. In order for those two times to match up, then this geometric relationship alpha has to equal alpha, which isn't on this slide. There's their thetas, but the relationship here has to be the same here. Otherwise, the star would occlude at a different time.
But you are indexing against level at vantage point 2 and not vantage point 1. So it will be on the globe. It'll be a different value.
No, we're specifically referencing if there's curvature between the distance between this mountain and this observer. Because if there is curvature, then this mountain peak will be physically lower than the raw calculated 231 angle. Because if you subtract 8 inches per mile squared, you get 214 for what the globe predicts. So 214 corresponds to a different time and when this star would disappear. So you see how this doesn't have the same geometric relationship here with with respect to the locations there, that's if the Earth were a globe, this is what would happen. So
Okay.
because this doesn't happen and these line up, that's why I asked at the beginning if alpha equals alpha, then the Earth measures flat with respect to the stars.
Well, yeah. So did somebody go to vantage point 2 and measure the angle to the star?
Oh, somebody going to the vantage point and measuring this.
On the other slide. On the other slide.
No, yeah, I'll show you. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Doing that isn't necessary because all we need to know is if the star is at this angle in time at this location, right? Which is what is predicted, right? And this is what is referenced. And if it's not visible anymore at that time, then the only way that could happen is if there's a geometric obstruction that's at that elevation to cause that blockage. So the relevance in the if you were to be on this mountain peak, we don't predict that you would see the star where it is. We only care about where the star isn't. And to do that, you use that by using the relative angle calculation here and the timing difference, because we never told Stellarium where we were. This is the beauty of the measurement, because if when you plug everything in, it'll make two different predictions to try and correct for where it should be. But the timing difference here shows that the geometry is actually planar.
So you said, I just want to be clear, you said that the observed angle matched the globe prediction from the vantage point 1.
Yes, optically it does, and that's part of our prediction too, because like I said, optical curvature isn't Euclidean, right? The spatial, the visual field is non-Euclidean.
The mutually exclusive part is the occlusion timing. That's why it's reduced to a binary, and it's been confirmed 39 different times of 7 different peaks, right?
Okay, so you're using Euclidean geometry in this then.
Using planar geometry using plane trig to calculate the spatial
and Euclidean, and Euclidean geometry, but then you're talking that it's non-Euclidean somehow.
The spatial field, right, is different from the visual field. The spatial field is where an object exists in three-dimensional reality. So if you were to plane trig out the relative angle difference here, that would be like a saying, okay, this is where this mountain peak physically exists in reality. To do the globe calculation for where it physically exists, because, relative to where you're at, the ground is tilting away tilting away from you. So this mountain peak is going to be slightly lower in the horizon. So you subtract what the 8 inches per mile squared difference would be from this, and it subtracts 200 meters from this, which corresponds to a different time, because we know how fast the sky moves at 15 degrees per hour, which corresponds to 15 arc minutes, which corresponds to 4 actual real minutes, and then you have arc minutes, which corresponds to 15 seconds, and then we have 15 arc seconds, which corresponds to 1 real second, right? And then we have distances that are derivable from this relationship as well. We're 69 miles per degree, 1.15 miles per arc minute, and 101 feet per arc second. So the 200 feet difference predicts a actual different time where the star isn't visible. And we not only reference just that one mountain peak, because like that could be an anomaly, right? That could be some crazy, thing or whatever, right? There could just be some magic thing. But now we're also referencing different distances here. So we have different angles that correspond to different elevations because they're different distances, right? We're doing trig functions, so we're getting different angles here. And we're looking for stars that correspond to those same angles. And all of these timings here, right? See how it says here, flat difference here. This is the altitude that is predicted by the official. Like if you go to Wikipedia and look up Pikes Peak, for example.
The altitude, what's the units there?
Meters.
Oh, the altitude of the mountain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So then you'll see here this column, the flat delta out. This is the difference that's measured plus or minus with respect to the timing. Because if you actually do this trigonometric function right here, which is the altitude is equal to the observer altitude plus the distance to the peak times the tangent of the elevation angle that it was occluded at, you can reverse engineer what the actual elevation would have to be. So this is what this column represents here. And we see here that the elevation is slightly higher than what the globe is predicting.
44.9. What are the units there?
Meters.
Oh, that's the difference of the peak.
Yeah. So
okay.
So the globe says it's this high, but it's measuring physically slightly higher based on the timing, the occlusion timing. And this is what the globe predicts based off of 8 inches per mile squared subtracted from the 50 kilometers here and that distance difference. So what we're looking at here is a globe difference that's missing, that should be present here, of 249 meters, and that's never observed. So like in other words, if this star got occluded at a different time, it would mean that the angle that it corresponds to would be this relationship here. It would give mutual exclusive proof of the globe.
Why are you adding the observer height to that calculation?
The observer height. I'm subtracting the observer altitude from the mountain altitude,
No, on the back.
or the elevations. What's that? Which one? 1 second.
Where they just were.
This
With
one?
The, yeah. Why are you adding the altitude of the observer in there?
Oh, that one. Okay, so this is how you do the trigonometric function to get what this true elevation would be with respect to the distance and the time that it got occluded. So does that make sense?
That's the flat Earth triangle you're solving there.
That's just a triangle. A triangle can't be flat Earth or anything. That's just
Yeah,
a triangle.
but the tangent of that angle there would be the elevation over the distance, right?
Yeah, that's what the
Why is the
spreadsheet has.
altitude of the observer that seems erroneous? Why is that included in there?
What? The altitude of the observer
It
relative
would be the
to
tangent of
sea-
that angle
to sea
right.
level.
is the elevation, which is the altitude of the peak, which we're trying to figure out, divided by the distance to the peak, which is what you're solving. And then you're trying to solve for the altitude of the peak, right?
Yeah. Well, 1 second. This function here doesn't belong to this necessarily. This 231 calculation.
But-
this corresponds to
No,
how
I
you
know
would
that.
calculate.
But
Yeah,
that's
this
not how you
corresponds to how
calculate. Okay, so can you solve
Oh,
for
1
that right
second.
triangle right there, right?
You say
That's
it's
what
not
you do?
how you calculate it, yet we
not.
have a spreadsheet of it.
Doesn't mean your spreadsheet's right?
I mean,
What's the tangent of? Oh, maybe I'm reading it wrong. But what's the tangent of the tangent of that angle would be what?
Tangent of the angle would be 231.
Right, times
For this.
that, and that would equal what to solve for that triangle, right? The tangent of that would be the opposite side, right? Which is the
SOHCAHTOA?
altitude. SOHCAHTOA, which would be the opposite side, which would be the altitude of the peak.
Listen, are you trying to assert that this is wrong? Because
It
the
looks wrong to
trigonometric-
me. I'm trying to understand how you
Well-
solve for the altitude of the peak by adding in the altitude of the observer there.
The altitude of the peak is subtracted from the altitude of the observer.
Oh, it's right there. Altitude of the observer plus the distance to the peak.
This is
Times-
for the function to calculate what the elevation is with respect to the angle.
Allan, the tangent of that angle, which is the right side of that equation. I'm pointing at my screen like somebody can see me.
I see it.
Would equal the altitude of the peak divided by the distance to the peak. That's the equation. There's no altitude of the observer in there.
It says altitude of
it says it.
observer.
I know it says it, but I'm trying to the trigonometry of that calculation would be the tangent of that angle equals the altitude of the peak divided by the distance to the peak. That's how you solve that triangle. Then you multiply both sides by the distance to the peak to get your height of that mountain.
Well, that's fantastic because what
I'm
it
just
ends up
asking why
Okay,
you added
well-
that in there.
Well, listen, the trigonometric function works because it gives the accurate comparison, right? Because that's what the globe differential is taken from. Nobody's disputing the trigonometric function there. A lot of people have analyzed it. I don't know.
I don't
what
think
your
anybody has.
No, it's correct.
How is that correct?
I don't know what your specific contention is, but it's pretty simple. You have the angle and you have
Mm-hmm.
the distance. So you're just solving for the opposite. So it's literally the same thing. So when you're saying like you disagree, he did it wrong. Well, it gives the exact amount. Like it's not wrong. So do you have a
You're-
different
you're
point of contention?
calculating
Because here-
tangent.
because
You're
here's-
calculating
here's-
that. You're
here-
calculating that in the
listen.
spreadsheet and all those. So if
Okay.
those numbers are wrong, then your whole thing is wrong, right?
It's not
Well,
wrong.
But luckily they're not wrong. And here's the thing, you're taking it to the wrong location. You need a different timing. You don't need a different elevation calculation change. You need a timing change. That is the big thing that's in dispute here. Getting lost in the trigonometric functions of the spreadsheet.
Getting lost in the
something-
math you're using to disprove the globe.
No,
We
you're,
should
you're
get
mis-
lost in that.
You're misunderstanding
You're-
a variable. It's the tangent of the altitude over the distance. You're just misunderstanding what the
Oh.
altitude is in that additive equation, right? That's what's
Well, you explain it to me then. I don't understand it.
it's
That's
fine.
what I'm
We
asking
just
for.
did. The tangent, right?
No, you did not.
How we get 231 degrees is the simple formula, right? It's tangent of the altitude over the distance. That's it.
Tangent of the angle is the altitude over the distance.
Arctan, dude, it's so ridiculous.
Yes, I agree. So then when you multiply both sides by the distance to solve for the altitude, you just add in the altitude of the observer into the equation for no reason?
No, the altitude of the observer is taken into account, right? So in this formula, it's 2,226 meters, right? And 50,700 meters for 50.7 kilometers. If you click right in that the elevation angle,
All right, let's just.
where it
move
says
on. I don't
2.4 degrees,
understand.
you can
I
see the
don't- I don't-
formula that we apply.
You said yourself, it's the tangent is the opposite, the height over the distance.
So we're doing
Right.
arc
You,
tan
so
of height over
that's,
distance,
so that's the tangent of the height over the distance. That's three variables. There's three inputs. Suddenly you have four. Altitude of the observer
Where-
is a fourth input.
Where
Hold on,
does
hold
the
on,
right
hold on.
hand
I'm
triangle
trying to
terminate?
figure out where that fourth input
Where does
comes
the
from.
right hand angle terminate?
At the observer.
There we go. So add the observer height to get the ground because we're adding ground elevation to the peak. Moving on.
So if he's at 30,000 feet, you would just measure the angle differently. Wow. Okay. Let's
Very
just go
small
move on.
difference. I agree.
Yeah, it's close. I'm sure it's close enough.
All right. So
No, I
the
have a-
table below calculates the altitude of the
another
peak.
question.
Altitude is equal to the altitude of the observer plus the altitude of the peak times the tangent of the true elevation angle of the occluded star for each occluded star. This version adds the occlusion to the thing. Now he added this, right, because the angles, right, if you just go by the angles, it can be a little ambiguous. This trigonometric function that is backwards deriving what the actual true elevation is after using the occlusion timing, which by the way, we're using the true I forgot one of the key aspects of this argument. Sorry, McToon, I'll let you speak here in a second. This is very important here. The positions of the stars that are being referenced here is the position with refraction turned off. So this defaults to the nautical almanac, like the true position, the so-called true position of where it would be, even though we never see the true, only the physical, or I mean, we only see the apparent. We never see that. No, well, that's what we're referencing here. We're referencing the raw so-called true position of where they say that is, and we're raw calculating what the elevation angle of this is based off of our distance and the elevation of the mountain peak to us to get our angle at. So that's super important to this geometric argument, because when the true position and this true position of this mountain line up, suddenly this star becomes not visible for this person at a specific time. Now, that is what is the primary argument here. And we have this spreadsheet. So you're saying that this is wrong, but it just so happens to equal up to what the globe predicts, and then plus or minus the flat Earth measurement and the globe differential. Like come on, dog.
I'm just asking where it came from. You added that in there, right?
Do you guys have an occlusion timing that would prove the globe in any measurement ever done? Do you think you could find one error in the 39 measurements that prove flat on our side, or what?
Yeah, I want to get some clarification here, because this seems like an awful lot of things to go through for something that I think might be a little unclear. This is a method, an attempt at a method to measure the angular elevation of mountain peaks. Is that correct?
The physical elevation, the difference in the physical elevation with respect to the visual elevation, right? Because there's two separate assertions here.
So,
Like
so
we
wait,
see
where
things
did the
differently than where they
physical
physically are.
where did you get the physical elevation measurements from?
The physical elevation measurements come from when the star is occluded. That confirms the plane trigonometric functions that are done, and then that's it. It is done through the timing interval.
But where did you get the elevation of the mountains from?
The elevation of the mountain is done from Wikipedia. That's what's in contention here.
Okay,
We're
from
we're
Wikipedia.
showing-
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're-
hold on. Where did Wikipedia get the elevations of the mountains?
Google Earth, probably.
Google Earth, probably using the radius of a ball, et cetera, et cetera.
The graticule.
right? This is what is in contention. This is why this is so important, because everything that's been asserted about where the physical elevation of this mountain peak is, if what you're saying, if the line of logic you're trying to draw me down to make it seem like everything is backwards on the globe here and on the up and up, I assure you it's not. This is for the specific way to tell the difference in whether or not what you're saying is correct and or if what I'm saying is correct.
Okay, so I'm just still trying to get some clarification. This is a method to attempt to measure the elevation angles to mountains. Is that correct?
No.
No? What is attempted to being measured here?
It's a conceptual method to use occlusion timings to perform a mutually exclusive mathematical prediction. That's what it is.
Wait,
Is there an elevation measured in that process?
Yeah, it's calculated. It's not measured. But go ahead.
Well, all measurements other than the very most basic ones include computation.
No, so, I agree. I think you and Shane may have been having a little impasse there, but you're not wrong. So it's to show the if that elevation is true or not.
Okay, so you're using the celestial theodolite, you're saying, to measure the elevation angle to these mountains
via timing interval.
Okay, now so there are multiple centuries of tried and true methods to measure elevations of distant objects. Why not use some of those instead of trying to invent a new way that has never been done before? Nobody has ever tested before. Nobody's ever confirmed that it's a good way to do it. Well, why not use the tried and true methods?
That's a fantastic question, because the tried and true methods are what's in contention right here. Remember, the spatial and the visual field difference is what's in contention. You guys assert that the difference is due to Earth curvature. We assert that it's due to optical. So taking using optical measurements in that regard would tell us nothing new, right? We're not introducing or manipulating any independent variables or doing anything, right? Like, we don't have anything falsifiable. So if we're not putting forward anything scientific, then what are we doing? So the purpose of this is to mix the geometry of the ground and the geometry of the sky in a way where we can tell the difference. Because if this peak was a lower elevation, like I said, I'd be here arguing against flat earthers, and I'd be zipping them up too.
All right. We've been on your presentation for a while. I have put together.
Thank you
for this particular topic.
Go ahead.
When you're ready, I'll share, James. Allan is still sharing though.
Oh, I'm not
sure. So the same button that you use to start sharing is where you'll click to stop sharing, but I'll do it on my side. There we go.
Yeah, do it on yours, because it disappears for me for some reason.
All right. Here is some of the numbers that I got from the presentation from Dr. Heffron. He was 51 51 miles from Pikes Peak. There's his latitude longitude from the presentation. He talked about 2 degrees 3 minutes. Your presentation talked about 2 degrees 31 minutes of elevation.
Yeah, can I give a quick correction? There was a mathematical error that was corrected for the globe Earth prediction on that. So it does come out to be whatever it is that the globe predicts -2 for the terrestrial refraction or whatever. So that refraction that has been corrected.
Okay, so somewhere between 2 degrees 3 minutes and 2 degrees 31 minutes. Is that fair? Is the elevation of Pikes Peak from his house, right? Okay.
Sure.
Now I've measured myself, Polaris, to be 5,000 kilometers in elevation, presuming flat Earth. I'm at 45 degrees north latitude. Polaris is approximately 45 degrees elevation, plus or minus half a degree from 45 degrees, and I am 5,000 kilometers from the North Pole. So that simple triangle gives us a 45-45-90 triangle, meaning that Polaris is 5,000 kilometers in elevation above flat Earth, if we're presuming flat Earth. So I don't know what you say the elevation is for the star, the first one he was talking about there, 39 Aquarii. but it must be somewhere in the vicinity. Maybe you can correct me if it's not 5,000, maybe it's less. Don't know. But we can start with that and do some corrections from there if you need. The 2 minute 30, 2 degree 3 minute value. All of the things that I've computed here will be larger if it's a larger value. If it's 2 degrees 31 minutes instead, then the number I have in these next slides will be larger, not smaller. So it will increase the amount of the numbers that we see here. So I solved the triangle there for how far it is away. Let me see here if I got the right thing. So, all right, here is I'll just show you the bearing here from his house there to Pikes Peak. You see that we've got due west. The bearing is 250 degrees because it's 20 degrees south of due west. I took this in Google Maps. I put where he said he was. I took Pikes Peak. I used Photoshop to measure the angle. That's where I got the 20 degrees from. So, and I put that on the map that you guys used earlier. Right there, we've got due west from his location. We've got 20 degrees south of due west from that location. Now, we'll go back to this slide here. So I used the 2 degrees 5 or 2 degrees 3 minutes, which is 2.05 degrees. Again, that number will be higher, which means that the value will be larger. But that triangle there, the distance across the surface of flat Earth, that's B in that triangle on the bottom right. So the observer there is alpha over on the far right side. We've got the distance B to the star, because that elevation A, I put in 5,000 kilometers. You see that? 5,000 kilometers, an elevation angle of 2.05 degrees, right? So what do we get? Well, there's flat Earth, but from the center to the perimeter of flat Earth is 20,000 kilometers. We need how much? 139. Let's call it 140,000 kilometers. Well, that's not quite there. Let's be generous and say that it's 20,000 kilometers from Colorado there to the edge of the disk, right? We're nowhere near. We need 140,000. This is to scale how far away 39 Aquarii needs to be to scale in order for it to be at 2 degrees angular elevation. But the problem is, of course, there is an actual GP on the surface of the Earth at around 14 degrees south latitude, which is significantly inside Antarctica. So way, way, way off. The value here is so massively off. The scale, the number of zeros in the difference between where flat Earth requires it to be and where it actually is in reality is an absolute multiple orders of magnitude difference. So there you go. I don't know how you're going to explain that one there, but 7 times farther away than the distance to Antarctica. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Folks, we do have, I'm going to quick jump in with a quick housekeeping announcement. Couple of things. We do have the Q&A coming up in just a bit. And folks, if you did not know, if you've been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears and you didn't know, Modern Day Debate is currently doing a fundraiser for new lenses for our in-person events. This GoFundMe is linked in the live chat right now. We appreciate your support. And if you're like, hey, I want to ask a really long question for, a Q&A, but, I don't really want to do super chat because, with super chat, you have to put in like $5 just to get like 100 characters. In other words, like to ask a long question, you have to pay more money. But if you put a donation of any amount in the GoFundMe linked at the top of the chat, let me know and we will read your question no matter how long it is. Even if it's a story, about how attractive you find MCToon. We'll read it, no matter how long it is. So with that, gentlemen, we'll let you resume, but folks will have the Q&A in just a bit.
Well, that was a nice episode of Euclidean misappropriation, I think, right? Assuming infinite vision and Euclidean triangles exceeding into forever. That's the same principle of how they get, parallax angles with a triangle that closes at 0.000001 or whatever. So I don't think that that's a proper distance. I think you were drawing distances also wrong, right? Based on stellar observations and misappropriation of Euclidean perspective, I would say the proper way is to use the graticule, right? As we started with McGlobeface praise.
Could you just point out the correct way to determine the what I did? Just walk us through the right way to do it. So we know in reality that at that moment that 39 Aquarii is at 14 degrees south latitude. So how is the correct way to do the geometry?
Well, you can use Haversine, right? You can get your input points as points with long lat, because the coordinate system with which it's defined is going to measure the distance. Same with the nautical mile if you want to use that. And then that's how you would determine the distance on the graticule. And then you splay it out on your flattened graticule projection that you are also misusing.
Okay, but don't do it without a projection. Do it in a non-projected coordinate system.
I mean, how would you measure distances like that across vast without using the ground when it's mostly water? Well,
just go ahead. Go ahead.
So we would
show how to do it, Shane.
To the stars.
Show how to do it. Run us through the geometry for seeing an angle to a star of slightly more than 2 degrees in Colorado when it is over 14 degrees south latitude. Show us that geometry. The correct way.
Don't start with a globe.
Yeah, just use flat Earth. You don't get to use Haversine. You can't use Haversine. I'm not talking about seeing forever. I'm talking about you can definitely see that star. And so you're saying that there's a different way to do the geometry, that I did it wrong. Please show the right way to do the geometry. Get out your paper. Get out your map. Non-projected map. Don't use a projection. Don't say graticule. Use a 1 to n scale map of what you think the Earth is and show the correct geometry for that.
What I'm saying is you portrayed the calculation incorrectly on that flattened out graticule.
Excellent. Show the right way to do it. Show the right way. Show the right way. All you got to do.
What's the correct way?
Chop.
Show the right way. I disagree with the method, as I said, with using Haversine, right? With the longitude and latitude is the graticule. You guys can't separate the graticule, longitude, lat, from the Earth, right? You think those synonymous. They're not. They're different. They're different things. Right?
But here's the thing. Here's what we can do.
On the graticule with long lat.
Here's what. Stop saying.
Disassociate.
Shane, we can use a non-projected coordinate system, and we can use a non-projected algorithm, Haversine, and get the actual position. That uses the globe. And so you're saying that's not correct. You say it's not a globe. So use the non-projected. This is what you present as the non-projected Earth. So show how to do that on the non-projected Earth. And you can't use Haversine because that's a spherical coordinate system, right? The non-projected spherical coordinate system that we use, not projected. And you need to show the correct way to do it using not the globe geometry.
Yeah, so it is the coordinate system of long lat. It's not the globe. You said it's the globe. No, you're measuring it in the coordinate system. You're using long lat. Haversine take inputs of latitude and longitude as starting and endpoints. It's distance
and linear distance.
And its result is comporting with the system with which it's defined in. That's
and a linear distance.
So when you say it's the globe, that's incorrect.
It includes a linear distance. What's the linear distance? Shane, what's the linear distance that's used in the Haversine formula?
Show me that it's the globe being used. And
Shane, what's the linear
coordinate system?
What is the linear distance used in the Haversine formula, Shane?
If my position is that it's the coordinate system, and your position is that it's the Earth, show me that it's the Earth and not the coordinate system. Right?
Shane, why are you avoiding the answer?
Because you're just going to keep chanting this, right?
What
the coordinate system is the
until you man up, until you look down in your panties there and find the balls to answer the question. What is the linear distance used in the Haversine formula as an input?
What do you mean?
There is a linear distance that's input into the Haversine formula. What is it?
For which calculation? You mean just in general, the parameter? You want me to define the term with which describes the linear portion?
There are 3 inputs to the haversine: latitude, longitude, and a linear number. What's that linear number?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're going to tell me about haversine formula and you don't know that third number?
Oh, so you're thinking that changes the output and changes my position? That
I
it's
think it
used
shows
based on
that you-
hemispherical position.
it
and
shows
the
that-
coordinate system of long lat.
Yeah, it
which you
shows that
cannot
you don't
differentiate
know
from
what you're
the
talking
Earth
about.
That you think you're trying to argue for?
It shows you don't know what you're talking about. It shows you don't know what the haversine formula is for. It shows that you don't understand the concept.
Of course I do.
Okay,
Of course I do.
what is the linear number that is put into the haversine formula? Go Google it. Ask Grok, ask ChatGPT, whatever you need. Go ahead.
Where's the linear term you want me to define?
There is a linear number that you
I
put
got it.
into the haversine formula in order to compute distances across the surface of the Earth.
So
What is that linear number?
for
What's
using
that?
the haversine is that it's tied to the coordinate system, which is my position.
And-
right? The coordinate
And
system.
one other number. What is
Your
that other
position
number?
is that it's tied to the Earth.
What is that other number?
Show in
Shane.
any which way.
What is
how
the
it's
other number,
tied
Shane?
to the
Is there a
Earth.
reason why
What do you
you
think?
won't just say
Yeah,
what
Do you
that
think
number
it would be
is?
tied to the Earth in any way you can prove?
I think
or is there
Allan might
no
know.
way to substantiate
Can you
how
help
it's
him
tied
out?
to the Earth
Can you
and
tag
not
in?
to the coordinate system?
Guys,
Alan, tag in,
Well-
Alan.
1 second, but before I do, this was your conclusion, was our premise. The 3959 that's asserted in that is also derived from elevation angles from Polaris. There's nothing mutually exclusive of that. This is why the celestial theodolite tells us the difference here. You're using a trigonometric
Shame,
function.
shame, Saint Plagiaire. The radius of the globe is the other number that's necessary in the haversine formula.
Yeah, do you know why?
Shame! Oh my
You-
goodness, how
Right.
embarrassing for
This
you.
is where they
you-
claim the radius of the
Why?
dome is the same as the radius of Earth, right?
Do you
now.
do
This
you
is
know
where they
why?
claim that.
That's the first
know-
law of Flurf, guys.
Tune, do you know? Tune, do you know why it's that?
Yes, I do, because it's a spherical trigonometric function. It requires the radius of the sphere.
Using a coordinate system derived from elevation angles from Polaris, the equivalent.
It's
Still
derived from
argue.
all
Listen,
sorts of things. You can derive,
please do
you
not
can
interrupt me,
figure
Tune.
out the radius of
James,
the
can you
Earth
moderate a
through
little bit,
many
James, or what?
different
I'm
things.
trying to speak, and he's having a seizure.
Let's go with it. Alan will give you how about 60 seconds? You want
you, sir.
120 seconds?
60 should be enough. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. So again, your conclusion was our premise, right? We're trying to test for mutual exclusivity, not calculations using the coordinate system and then asserting the correct interpretation of the coordinate system, right? That same linear value would be used either way on the coordinate system, because our assertion is that the coordinate system is a merger of 2 hemispheres derived at independent times with respect to a specific time of year, which is the vernal equinox. That's what the latitude and longitude system wholly represents. What you're asserting with the linear distance, do you think someone went to the center of the Earth to measure it? No, they calculated.
No, there's
it from
other ways to do
it
that.
One
wasn't-
sec.
It wasn't.
I think
It wasn't a question. It was rhetorical. It's calculated from elevation angles to Polaris, which gives the same thing. So what you're asserting isn't mutually exclusive. Use of the haversine is not mutually exclusive. Timing differentials with respect to star occlusions is mutually exclusive. That tells us the correct nature and geometry of the realm. Otherwise, the calculations that the same ones that you're relying on to give accurate distances wouldn't give the accurate elevation that corresponds to the time that corresponds to when the star was actually occluded at the relevant distance to the observer. So this
You
whole
got it.
getting excited and wetting the bed was for naught.
No,
For his
see,
followers. That's why he's here.
I-
That's the whole point.
I simply, in the beginning of this, brought up a lot of mutually exclusive things. Okay, we could gladly go over any of those and explain how. I know you want to immerse
one.
yourself in the world of
Name one. Let's go. Name one.
the flights, simply the flights.
Okay. It's a
Would you like me to bring them up?
Okay, the
Not coordinate system.
I got
They fly
you.
the same amount of time, the
Listen.
same distance.
What you're showing, right? How it looks different. That's because you're looking at a projection. It's the same distance. It's the same coordinate system. To say one is not the other is you're basically saying that the globe doesn't exist.
Then show me how that works.
It's using the same lat long system.
Show me how that works on a flat Earth then,
the
with your
distance will be
coordinate system.
determined by how long a line looks, or is the distance determined by the distance between longitude lines?
It's the distance the plane flew.
Which is
do
the
you
distance
think-
that corresponds between longitude lines, right?
But this is
God,
what
do
your
you not
claim is.
understand?
Okay,
This is your claim.
Yeah,
You
right
say
there.
the Earth is this.
No.
Do we?
The
We don't live on a
distances
planet
don't
with
match.
radicule. No, we don't.
No.
The
This
lines
is-
of longitude
Spe-
spread
spec-
out as it goes south, right?
Specific.
This is the map you guys keep using.
On a projected coordinate system, yes. This is what
We're not
saying.
talking about a projected coordinate system. We're talking about
Can you
the
have
actual real
absolute
Earth.
moderation?
You're holding a projected coordinate system that.
But
is
you say this is the actual surface of the Earth.
Listen, I don't say that is the surface of the Earth. I say specifically that is a snapshot of the sky that corresponds to positions of the stars.
That's not the Earth. That's not the sky, though. That's
What?
that's
That is-
the surface.
We're
looking
That's-
at the
this
Earth.
is
Hold on, gentlemen.
North America, South America. This isn't the sky.
Please don't interrupt and talk over me when I'm explaining my position. That is, and those correspond to ground positions of stars. That is what we're looking at here. Okay? The overlay of the ground on the projection doesn't represent the actual geography of the ground. Australia is not really stretched out like that. You're looking at a coordinate system stretch that is relating geographic positions to stars. That
So what is
in
the
contention
actual
here.
non-projected shape of the Earth then?
Yeah, do
The
you have
Earth,
that
according to
to
you.
present?
If this isn't, I mean, you presented this a bunch of times, and leading us to believe, like Edward Hendry, like Gleason, like 175 years of flat earthers have said this is the actual non-projected real distances, real everything of the surface of the Earth. But you seem, after your presentation, to not think that's it. Could you please present us the non-projected surface of the Earth measurements and distances and shapes
Yeah.
that you think it is?
So the lines
Yeah.
of longitude on your map would have to converge somehow, like they do on a
No,
globe, right?
they don't have to converge anyway. If it's a merger of two hemispheres observed at different times, but merged together. then
That's a
no.
globe.
Did you just say that's a globe?
That's a globe. Oh my gosh.
We
You
already
just
went over
described a
that-
globe.
We already went over that objects in the sky are apparent to you, right? You see in a
We're talking about the surface right here,
Yeah.
the surface.
No, you're talking
about
about
the
a coordinate
surface.
system. That's what
You're
about.
talking about
How
Well,
can
then
the
let's
distance?
stop talking about a coordinate system. Just tell us what the surface looks like. Is this it or
Then
something
put
else?
the map down.
What's the something else?
How
Show
can
us
it
the
do-
something else.
How can the distances be the same in the north and the south, physically, on your map? I
well
don't care about coordinate systems. How
Well-
physically can they be the same?
in the south, right? In the coordinate system that you're representing, holding up there. Guess where the biggest corrections are in astrogeodetic surveying to make it
Wow.
comport to symmetry? Guess where they are?
I'm going to guess they're not
I'm just gonna
answering
need
this
the
question.
citations
It's-
to answer
it's-
once you answer it. Go ahead.
It's in the south. There we have tons of.
Citation needed.
Shane will pull them up. We've got a lot on his database.
I'm sorry, what happened?
Astrogeodetic surveying, southern corrections, where they're the
Oh,
most.
Australia, geodetic. Okay, hold on.
So anyway, as we continue
Now,
here,
I just want everybody.
as
This
we
is a
continue
flat
here-
Earth debate, and they refuse to say what they think the actual surface of the Earth looks like.
Right.
They are
The
afraid of
surface-
their own topic.
The surface of the Earth is flat. What you're holding up corresponds to positions of the stars.
Don't. Okay,
The-
fine.
the-
That's
the-
not your map.
the-
Where's your map?
That's what we're asking.
Yeah, where's
The,
the your map?
the geography is likely laid out similarly, but the stretches and distortions are not the same. They're not one to
Cool.
one like you're
Show us the
presenting.
non-stretched and non-distorted one.
We don't have one. All we have
Oh,
is
you
the
lost.
radicule and
You
multiple.
don't
Then why
have
are you even
one.
here? Globe confirmed.
All you're doing is trying to back into the flat
Coordinate
Earth
system
from the
confirmed.
globe.
Okay,
And it's
okay,
so
here's-
weird to watch. Everything in the sky matches the globe. Everything on the ground matches the globe. But we're just going to back your way in and say we
You
see
say
we
everything
see globes.
matches the globe
Yes,
except
it
for
does.
the mutually exclusive timing predictions of the occlusion of stars
Numbers
based
on a
physical
spreadsheet
elevation
are
angle
not
differences
evidence.
if the Earth is actually tilted. Hold on a second. Yeah, this dude's been talking over me for a hot minute. No. We came here with 39 mutually exclusive measurements that show, with timing, that the star's position shows that the elevation angles of what is asserted by the globe is false. right? Everything that you presented is positions of things in the sky with respect to when they can be seen. Hold on one second. You're shaking your head, but your whole presentation was positions of the Southern Cross, positions of this and that with respect to time, right? There's no way to differentiate the correctness of what you're asserting. That's why the celestial theodolite is introduced. That's the significance of this argument. You have nothing. You guys are fully disarmed here. You guys are dude,
Disarmed. You said it
yes.
matched the globe, but that was just optical.
Yes,
Then you made a whole bunch of word salad nonsense bullshit about why that's not really what we're seeing. That's what you did.
You say that,
That's all you guys have.
You ignore the references to multiple things that in both models we see in a dome of vision, and everything in the sky.
You're
is apparent
making
to us.
garbage up.
Can I screen share real quick, James? We're gonna have to go
Is it
ahead
a
and
pile
go
of
through.
salad you're going to screen share?
No, we're just gonna read some plain English.
Because I'm hungry. We're just going to munch on some salad.
I need some blue cheese on mine.
Did you guys bring some?
All we have is ranch in the house. I need some blue cheese.
Left my oven mitts in the other room.
Oh,
I got mine. I got mine.
1 second. I might. Okay, here we go.
I'm so out of water.
I got my oven mitt.
All right, here we go, boys. Let's see. We might have glazed over this in the beginning, so you might have missed it. So here we have old and new astronomy, right? Down here, it's talking
Don't see
about how
anything.
we. Can you see the screen share
No,
now?
don't see anything.
Oh, 1 second. How about now?
Nope.
Tune, do you see anything?
Nope.
Okay.
That's okay. It's as good as what you're gonna shoot.
I think it's some water while you're.
Well, I will send
showing
a
us.
I will send a screenshot in the side chat, so you guys can be on the same page here. But anyway, or if you want to pull up the YouTube chat or pull it up on YouTube real quick and just pause it, you can see what I'm reading. So this is from New and Old Astronomy, 1920. It says, and in considering the cloudy sky, we have to remember. Oops, what happened here? This what just happened? Oh, it crashed out. Yep, gotcha. Give me one. No, it's a Linux issue, but I don't want to say it out loud because Shane will socially shame me. Okay, can you see that now? Is it working good?
No.
All right, let me close and reopen real quick then.
What is that window
Still not
show?
working. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There we go. Thank you, sir. Hopefully it works this time, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Not
God
working.
willing.
Yeah.
It's just Arabic. It's just an Arabic. I mean, Muslims primarily say it, but I like it.
Just read the quote, Alan. Nobody can see it.
It's still not
Yeah.
working.
Okay, sorry about that, guys, but I'll read the quote. It's just text anyway. I'm just reading. So it's from Old and New Astronomy. It says, in considering the cloudy sky, we have to remember, if we rightly understand what we see, the usual. Oh man, I did it again. Okay, 1 second. Good. Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I understand. You're good. You're good. I'm back. So anyway, it says here, if we remember what we would rightly understand what we see, that usually the curve of the surface at which looks is much flatter than even this. If we mistakenly attribute it to the dome shape of the heavens, whereas in reality the curvature is no greater than the curvature of the earth itself, which is under ordinary conditions imperceptible. So what he's saying here is that the equivalence of how the sky perceives with a curve, like that's just optical illusion. The sky is definitely not perceived in a dome. And then we have a solar panel manual here from the 1970s explaining how to set up your solar panels with the, what angle to have them tilted at with respect to your latitude and season. And they say here, they give the analogy, the sky dome, they call it the sky vault. The sky dome is the visible hemisphere of the sky above the horizon in all directions. The grid of the chart represents the vertical horizon angles on the whole of the sky dome, as if it were, as it is as if we were clear dome of around the observer when we charted it off and then peeled off the dome and stretched it out flat. So what they're saying here is that the real sun, right, is moving along here, but we see it projected in this dome. That's what they're explaining. And then NASA, explaining the moon illusion, is showing here the true position of the moon with respect to how it's perceived with the apparent moon. We always see the apparent, never the true. This dome of vision here that's represented on this graticule projection that's following the observer relative to the latitude is exactly how the globe was derived and measured, relative angles from Polaris. That's been the flat Earth assumption
No, it
for quite a
wasn't.
long time. Well, that if it
It's
wasn't,
exactly
then
how Walter Bislin made it that you guys stole and used as flat Earth evidence. That's exactly how that made. That was,
you're conflating two things. I'm talking about the latitude and longitude system, not this model. Like the graticule
you
is
mentioned
not
the
this.
model. So.
Just keep in mind the latitude
Anyway,
longitude
hold on one
is
second.
non.
I'm almost done, man. Just
Yeah,
let me
I
finish.
mean, you read
Just
this before.
Yeah, this is a rehash.
We'll give you a
the
chance to
1970s
wrap up,
pamphlet
Alan.
from a
I'll give you
solar
a chance.
panel
I'm going to go
installation.
find
give
my
you a
solar
chance to
panel
wrap up,
manual right
Alan.
now from when I ordered them.
Before
NASA.
MCToon.
So hold on, are you going to throw out NASA too? Because NASA's saying the same thing the solar panel's saying, which is saying the same thing the astronomical book from the 1920s is saying. So if you're going to throw out the 1970s solar panel book,
NASA says the Earth is a globe. Just cherry picking that. Super awesome. That's how things work. Yep, that's how it works.
What's in contention here is optical phenomenon and how we observe them, not is it a globe. This is specifically is how we observe the heavens. This is independent of both models. What I was showing here is that this azimuthal grid here is the same as this one here that was used and shown earlier. You guys like this one? Same exact thing. Real sun over here, apparent sun projected relative to your latitude.
You don't see anything.
Yeah, nobody's seeing anything.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, that's a real shame. I'm so sorry about that. But that is you guys saw it at the beginning. But anyway, there's no difference between the two.
Yeah, they're equivalent, right? So we see the heavens the same in either model. You guys just use those observations to build the globe as a model. And by the way, the reason that it is because the celestial sphere and the graticule are aligned. They did so by taking right ascension and declination, matching it to longitude, latitude, which means this every star for every specific time has a ground position, right? That's how they get the zenith gets the ground position, which means for every point on the graticule is mapped on the celestial sphere. For every right ascension declination point,
you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Latitude.
Keep
the
going,
two models are the two spheres, right? If you read Ptolemy's Geography, the first book about cartography, he says people have to accept the two sphere model. Either you accept that it's a sphere, which he uses longitude and latitude, and he matches it to right ascension and declination. Those two models are just one model built from the other, and either one is model independent because neither one has measured the Earth.
My goodness, that was an excellent first law of Flurf. Thank you so much, Shane. The celestial sphere is a concentric sphere to the surface of the Earth. Awesome.
Geocentric around the observer with the sphere of infinite radius, which is made up of infinite
around the Earth, not the observer.
observation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a concentric sphere. You just read it yourself. Awesome.
I didn't read it.
That is the assertion.
It doesn't follow the observer around the Earth.
And it is a non-projected coordinate system. Non-projected.
And you know what? If that non-projected coordinate system were true, the star occlusion timings would be completely different. But
and if the flat Earth were true, then one measurement would work, but none do. Like the one that I did that Shane was incapable of correcting me on, even though he said I did it wrong. He was incapable of showing the right way to do it. If it's
the 39 measurements that we presented here have gone
the specific one, the 2 degree elevation, slightly more than 2 degree elevation of the stars have to be 140,000 kilometers away. But you said that was wrong, but could not correct it, could not provide the right way to do the geometry.
I'll correct you. Were you drawing
infinite Euclidean?
Were you trying to draw a star to does your triangle complete at the physical location of the star?
Yeah, just like reality works. Yeah.
Got you. So here's the conflation. So the latitude and longitude system is based off of setting, basically how far away you get from Polaris before you can't see it. So that defines everything at an equidistant. It's exactly what it is. That's how celestial navigation works.
No, it's not. I can do celestial navigation. You can't. I've done it. You've never done it.
You can be upset he's interrupting you, but you just said some nonsense.
You're just wrong. It's not based on the elevation of
James,
Polaris.
James, if I'm trying to make a point and then they're both going to interrupt me, like,
Well, yeah, they can just do
Can-
whatever.
can-
I think is how
can
it
you
works.
just tell
Cry,
them to ease
cry a
up?
little more about it, Alan.
One
You're
sec.
stupidly wrong.
To be fair, let's give Alan a chance
Shut the
just to
fuck up,
wrap up
Mike.
his point, and then we'll go back to you guys.
Can't remember what my point is now because
Your point was where you were claiming that
Oh.
all celestial navigation is based on
right.
the elevation of Polaris.
yeah.
That's
I'll be here
hilariously
reading
wrong.
through my solar panel pamphlet they gave me when I
It is. That's why the angles
See.
aren't mutually exclusive to either.
Oh.
Notice how
Yeah, that's
fast
why-
they ran
that's-
from the argument, though, and all of
That's
our
why we
answers.
have to. That's why we introduced the celestial theodolite to tell the difference.
Oh, look at that. I got a book on celestial
Each
navigation.
week's-
You know what it
Yes.
doesn't tell us? You know what it doesn't
Yeah.
tell us in here?
What doesn't
That
it tell
this was
us?
based on the elevation angles from Polaris. It doesn't say that in here.
Why are you
do you
guys
know
so
what-
scared of
do you-
mutually exclusive evidence?
Do you know what they all
Nowhere in
comport
here.
to though? Elevation angles of Polaris. Isn't that weird?
They comport to elevation angles of every star in the celestial sphere, concentric around the globe. It's beautiful. This is all globe-based geometry, no flat Earth geometry in here at
Spherical
all.
coordinate system
So-
geometry,
so-
no global.
so
I'll show you
you're-
yours if you show me
Unprojected.
mine.
You're-
There you
you're-
go. Awesome.
You're restating
All
my
right.
premise.
We got
as
two
your
people that can
conclusion.
do
wanna-
celestial
I do
navigation
wanna
against
give-
two people that can't.
I want to be sure Alan
they don't care,
gets a
James.
chance to wrap up his point. Go ahead, Alan.
It's a globes.
I can find one too.
Yes. So
Globey.
No,
The
yeah,
glo-
go ahead.
celestial navigation uses the celestial sphere, which sets everything at an equidistant web to one another. In order for the geometric relationship for Polaris to work, for example, as you walk away from it at 69 miles per degree, you would have the exact same relationship.
So what's
That's it.
Well,
That's it.
confirmed.
so
One
again? It's a
second.
globe,
Nope.
but it just appears.
No, because in order to do that trig function, right, you have to set that elevation angle to 6218. So that triangle sets an elevation of 6218. Now,
We're not
you-
doing triangles.
Hold on,
no,
let's
one
just let him
second.
have a chance
It's
to.
not you.
You're referencing a triangle that goes to the true position of the star out at infinity, basically.
No, we're not.
Which is not referencing anything physical. The
No
coordinate system-
triangles.
That was his two.
Just Euclidean or
I
hyperbolic?
literally,
Not a triangle.
I asked
One
you-
angle. It's an unangle. Unangle. One.
Let's go back
One
to
angle.
Alan. Okay, you said
Very
that
true.
many times. Let's go back to
I
Alan.
asked you specifically if it was a triangle, and then
It's
you said
not.
yes.
No,
So then
celestial
you-
navigation is not a triangle.
I'm not talking
Ah,
about
one angle.
no-
An unangle.
I'm not.
Hold
I'm
on,
not
let's
talking- I'm
let's
not-
give
I'm
Alan a
not-
chance.
Listen,
All right, tell us about how we use triangles.
that unangle, right? Do you know what that also is equal to? Planar elevation angles of Polaris as you get 69 miles per degree.
Well, glad you brought that
Yeah,
up. That's
good.
great.
Good job.
How do you
Yeah.
get those on
Oh,
a flat Earth?
Only works on a globe. The trig only works on a globe. You are the one that said, hold on, let me see. Are you suggesting trig is an unreliable witness?
He did
That
say that.
only works on the surface of a globe. It does not work on the surface of something flat.
Ooh, it absolutely does if the
Oh, let's see.
curvature is
Run through it. Show us
optical.
the show
Oh,
us
the
show us
curvature is fake.
If the curvature is
you've made a
optical, well,
hypothesis. Got it.
I gave-
show us
I
the
gave-
math. Run
Okay,
us through the
yeah.
math.
I
Please.
gave you guys 3 citations
No, you didn't.
of how we
Show us-
see
run us through the math.
collision
Alan,
corresponds to the same
Do the
time.
math.
Buddy,
You say
buddy,
it's possible. Show us the math.
if an astronomer says that we see the hemisphere of the sky projected,
They
into our
didn't.
dome,
They didn't. They
Hold
were
on,
not
let's-
supporting your
hold
claim.
on.
I literally
Alan,
read it
MC
verbatim.
Tune.
I read it verbatim, dog. You're gonna interrupt me as I read it verbatim to say
Twice
that that's
already.
not.
You're citing globe sources again.
Yeah.
Can you please show us how the math
Citing
works on
globe
flat
Just
Earth?
show us the step-by-step
Triangles
math.
are
Yeah.
of the
All
globe. Is
right,
that what you
I
guys saying?
think we've reached the maximum.
How do you measure the angle? Start at the
I'm
North Pole.
ready for questions. What do you think?
Start at the
Alan?
North
Yeah.
Pole. The star's above you 90 degrees. You walk away 69 miles. How much is the star drop in the sky? Right? 1 degree.
Depending what degree. Does it do that at the
Yeah.
equator? If it's a precisely
Do-
linear
do
69 miles
another.
per degree when it's
Yeah.
half a mile above the horizon, or does that
Now you
break
can
down?
measure your
Do you need
angle.
corrections for refraction after that? Do you need a correction table that applies corrections based on a certain threshold? Are you
Yeah.
allowed to use
All
angles
globe.
below 15 degrees?
All
Do
globe
15
based.
degrees is linear? Can it be partially linear? If it's not linear at a certain point, is it actually linear?
All
Isn't
globe
it
based. Thank you.
Isn't it weird how you can't show me the math to how you come up with that on a flat Earth without using a globe?
Don't do mile. Don't do the equator. Show us mile 2. Or sorry, degree 2
that's it.
from from 70, right, to 140. Show us that math. How about that one?
Whenever you're ready to move on to questions, James.
I'm ready. Let's go.
So the math doesn't work on flat Earth.
We'll
Thank
jump into the Q&A. I want to say, folks, we are thrilled to have your questions. We're going to try to move fast as we've got a good amount of them here. A couple of other quick housekeeping things. Folks, thanks so much. We did meet that goal of we had a new Facebook follower. In fact, I think we had more than one. So thank you for that pity follow. It means more than you know. Appreciate you guys for being so supportive. And not only that, but thanks for your super chats, which we're going to jump into right now. The Q&A is beginning with this first question from Hangout44 says, okay, some of these are mildly insulting. Said Shane, nice. Okay, I think they meant Shane. Nice neckbeard. You're amateurish, fumbling around, trying to explain relatively in earlier debates was super embarrassing. I think they meant relativity. Maybe tuck a book or two under your. Okay. Tango44 says Shane. Well, we'll give you a chance to
No, you
respond to that before
you
I
might
do
as
the next
well
one.
finish it. You might as well finish it. Does it go on?
Um,
I mean, hell, if you're gonna
Where do
read
I
all that,
where do
you
I
might
put
as
the
well
book
keep
that I'm
going.
reading? Where do I store it?
well, it could get worse in terms of where
Let's
you
not.
place the
Let's.
books. But go ahead. We'll give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I thank you for it. You should see the videos that we have on this exact topic at adl.place and spaceaudits.com. You can check out how we have the
.net.
answers to yours specifically, spaceaudits.net. Sorry. Also, you should check out kofi.com/spaceaudits and get yourself a sweatshirt. Then I'll answer your question.
Juicy. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Camel44 says Shane only has a script, so how can he do a live opener? Well, we got that live opening, so no problem there. Basil Problem says, Shane, you are a unique combination of low information and soy boy. Okay, geez. Next, if you want to
Guys,
respond
might
to that,
really
you
hurt my
can.
feelings. What am
Yeah,
I gonna
yeah.
do?
Yo, James, just read all the insults with a straight face. Don't pretend like you didn't see it, or that you're gonna filter them or feel bad. Just get in there.
Well, to get the feel bad, I'd have to mistakenly assume that I value the opinion of neutral observers on the internet, which is a stretch,
Wow.
right?
Well, some of these I admit are I'm like, oh, I hate reading them because they're just mean. And I'm like,
Send it.
folks,
It's
even
words
Lord
on the
says,
internet, dude. If
They
people
can
have to
handle
be
it.
mad about super chats, like it's whatever, dude.
do you praise the creator of the White Devils, Jakob? I don't know
That
what
one's
that
don't-
means.
almost as bad, to be honest. I don't know what
I
that
don't know
means.
what that means.
Carl Slagan says Anthony Globe Whistle. Even Lord says, can you hunt and eat penguins in Antarctica?
Nope. We didn't even see any.
No
Wow.
pengies?
We
This
were
one
we
coming-
were hundreds of miles inland.
It's because you weren't there. Be honest.
No
This
penguins
one-
in the studio, McToon?
No.
I'm just kidding.
We were
This-
it was a little sad. People were like, yeah, does he penguins? No, I didn't see any. It was cool. I mean, it was awesome trip. It was super neat place to be, but there's no life there
Was
where
it?
we were.
You didn't
No
sleep?
trees.
It was always
no,
bright. It must have sucked, to be honest.
it kind of sucked at like 3 a.m. putting sunscreen on to go outside.
It looks
Wow.
unnaturally bright, actually.
Yeah, almost
It was
as if
very
it was in a
bright,
Very
studio.
reflective.
Melvin. This one from
Crazy.
Basil Problem says, Allan, Terrence Howe believes the Earth is a globe. Do you know more math than him?
Terrence.
Terrence Howard.
Oh, yeah. You can find more about my Terrence Howard opinions on spaceaudits.net.
Hmm.
Is it up or down on that,
Okay.
Allan? Up or down
Who?
on his on Allan? Are you
Oh,
up or
Terrence-
down
On what?
on Terrence?
Oh, dude, to be honest with you, people ask me, like, Terrence mentioned ether. You mentioned, they're like, what does he say about it?
Don't give a shit.
I haven't watched a single interview or anything.
Oh,
I couldn't speak on it. I have no
This
idea.
one, Basil Problem says, oh, we got that. Even Lord says, do you praise the creator of the... We got that one. This one from Kango44 says, the channel Tunnel, the London Underground, the Boston Big Dig, the Gothard Tunnel, the Trans-Siberian Railway. These projects had to take the curve of the Earth into account. I find Allan and Shane blatant lying sad. Get a different grift, assholes.
Well, if they
Well,
buy a
kinda good.
sweatshirt, then we'd be grifting. So
They
then
just
we could,
optically, they
Was
optically
that-
took
was-
it into
was-
account.
Was that a super chat for us?
Yeah.
So I pulled up a survey from a London project where they were saying that this subway system was made with globularity, explicitly or whatever, right? So I pulled up what they had asserted for their public plans or whatever, and what they did was they drew a meridian line through the center of the project, where it would be the straightest, and then they said you can ignore all curvature here. And so, like, I don't know, like when they say accounted for curvature, like what exactly does that mean for the project? Because when you get into people making the assertions of like bridges and such, well, the bridge expands, thermally more than the asserted curvature that they would have accounted for. So how could you ever know? Like, what does that mean?
You got it. This one coming in from, by the way, thanks so much for your likes, folks. We're one like away from 150. Please. MCToon said he will send photos, feet photos in particular, to your email inboxes if we hit 150 likes. Even though it says, can troglodytes, like Neanderthals that live underground, live without experiencing sunlight?
Good point.
I don't know what this means. Mike, 1986 dude, says, please explain the SAM stars in the night sky.
I don't know what that is.
Wow.
Same stars, maybe?
They capitalized the
Oh,
S.
he's probably,
though.
oh, maybe he was talking about my thing I brought up with the Southern
What did
Cross
you bring
being
up?
seen I saw the Southern Cross at the same time from Australia and South America on a live TikTok live. We did it.
Mm.
Both looking southwest, right? So they both saw the same stars. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
At the same time on a globe that makes complete sense because you're both looking in the same direction. On a flat Earth, it does not, and you can't take coordinate systems as an excuse here. Okay, it's physically 90 degrees apart from each other on a flat Earth.
Gotcha. Yeah, my answer to that is that the observation of where the position of the bodies will be is not what's in contention, right? The physicality of them, like who knows, right? All we know for sure is where they're going to be and how fast they're moving. When we use something like when we introduce a way to manipulate the independent variable of where they're going to be, i.e., a mountain peak, we can test the difference in timing predictions of when that star should disappear.
That was an awesome deflection over to your other
This one.
observation.
From
It
Ajax.
was a direct answer to a non-mutually
No, it wasn't.
exclusive claim. Position and
from
timing doesn't
Ajax.
tell
That's
us the shape of the
deflection.
Earth.
You said you don't care because when you can measure it over here, it doesn't matter. That's what you said.
Ajax says
No, that's
Shane and Allan can't do algebra. You guys probably disagree.
well, yeah, you
Algebra
guys.
is where I tapped out. I can do some algae.
Well,
got you.
the good old mass equation when they do gravitational forces and centrifugal calculation where the mass drops out is pretty fun. That's a nice algebraic trick that we like.
This one from Alejandro Vallejo. Thank you very much. Says, oh, you like trigonometry, Allan? I'm sure then you would have no problem answering a simple question by showing us how you do the trigonometry math to solve a simple question. They said, here is the question, Allan. If I'm standing at the peak of Everest and the sun is 15,000 miles away, how high above the horizon should I see the sun? Feel free to input your believed height of the sun.
That's a great question. I would go to a trigonometry calculator and figure that out. Not going to do it live, but I don't claim to be a trig master, right? I use a spreadsheet and references, and I ask other people for verification if it's correct or not. So I'm not a math wizard. I'm not going to do math tricks for you.
However, we do have videos of
would-
Allan
I
doing
would
math
just-
tricks at
I would just-
ADL.com, and it's based on it.
Juicy to say the least. This
I
one,
have the answer 11.3 degrees.
Nice.
Even Lord says there are many ancient monoliths and temples that are aligned with certain stars and constellations, but they are now inaccurate. Why is this the case?
Well, which ones are you citing specifically? I am not familiar with any. The only one that I really know about was the Georgia Guidestones, which was destroyed. So like I'm not familiar with really any other ones.
This one from Basil Problem says, Shane, which Walmart do you work at? All right.
To what? Which
We got-
Wally?
I actually have a video choosing which Walmarts I have worked at ADL.place and spaceaudits.net. You should go check that out.
Wow. Tango44 says, Alan and Shane, can you please go into detail about your educations, which degrees and PhDs, and what subjects you hold?
Yes, I dropped out of high school and got a GED. I went to DeVry for about half a year, and that's it. I dropped out of that as well.
And I got bachelor's
In what?
English and minor in computer science.
This one from Noah's Ark, Kansas, says, my girlfriend wanted to use laser measurements to prove me wrong. I wasn't happy. What is the benefit of measuring with lasers?
Well, that's a great question. That's why I prefer the with respect to what is your measurement, being taken, right? Because if you don't have some external reference for verification or a set threshold, right? Because we touched on refraction earlier. Well, if you use the equations for refraction, there's actually no limit, right? So, and you could introduce different ones, different coefficients to fit any observation. So you would have to set your own personal threshold to determine that.
So I think you missed the point of it. He was talking about like his claim is 8 inches, and he's actually and the measurement with lasers came out to 4 inches.
Oh, got you. Sorry, I missed the joke.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
This one coming in from Even Lord says, this debate supports I don't know how to say this word, physiognomy unintentionally. Physiognomy, I know I can't say it right. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the idea that like you can look at person's physical features of like, for example, Melvin's MCToon's, upturned nose, his perky nose, like suggests that he's like intelligent and sensual in nature. But Noah's Ark,
It's
Kansas
just
says,
optical. It's just optical.
by the way, thanks.
It's just an apparent hotness or whatever.
Thanks to folks, thanks for hitting the like button. That got us to 162. Oh, we got down to 161 because I just said that Melvin is sensual. But thanks for your support. MCToon will be sending his sensual feet photos if we get to.
Actually just Mikey Smith's feet photos.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
Noah's Ark,
that's
Kansas.
all.
do you get a discount for? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Noah's Ark, Kansas says flat earthers. How has this knowledge changed your life? I would also like to ask the same question to globe earthers. Has it changed how you perform your professional work or your interpersonal relationships? Any benefit? We'll start
Shane,
with
kick us off?
Allan.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to pass it to Shane first. But yeah, so for me, it was evidence that there was a creator because it's like, self-evident. If this place exists, it's flat, it's not moving, it didn't come out of a cosmology that's born out of something coming from nothing. Then the logical implication is that there's a creator. And that was very significant for me because the way that I understood cosmology and the world around me was through the mainstream paradigm of like, we're an accident, living in a Goldilocks zone, etc. And I didn't have any room for God or spiritual connection or any sort of purpose like that. And now I have a more fulfilling look on life because it's like I take it as evidence that there's a creator. Like direct evidence.
Yeah, it goes, let's see. So it goes like, if it's false, then it kind of predates a certain mentality. So you have things that, the first isn't a globe, then you have no rotation, right? If no rotation, then no orbit. The Earth's not moving around the sun, then no gravity, no heliocentricity, no Big Bang Theory, no evolution, and then you're not randomly here, puts you in a special place in the universe, violates the Copernican theory, which science is currently masquerading, as philosophy, right? The philosophy that is the science, the Copernican principle, the fear that they are at the center. So the point would be, after you get all that, you end up at intelligent design, God, creator, right? So it's a much more different perspective on the world that it leaves you with. That's why.
Globey?
Wow. I mean, I've learned more about the psychology of it all, and I've learned a lot about the globe in doing this as well. But it's the fascinating part for me now is the psychology behind science deniers and how far they will go to deny reality and science and be so scared to admit they were wrong about things. And then what happens when they do admit they were wrong? I mean, perfect example is what's going on with Jaren over at Jarenism, right? Crazy stuff these science denier cult has led to, and that's what it is. It's a cult.
What happened to Jaren's channel?
He's not a flat earther.
He's not a flat earther anymore.
Oh,
He left the cult and has been ostracized and
Okay.
shunned.
MCToon.
Well, I take the exact opposite view. I think the Flurf god is pathetic and weak. He can only create a prison with an imaginary dome over the top. He couldn't make a massive, expansive universe like the Christian god can, like the Abrahamic god can, where we. The claim is that of all of the amazing, vast universe, that each individual one of us is still something important to him. That's a significantly more important thing than the pathetic Flurf god that made a prison.
Interesting. And folks, please, no more insults. We don't want to read. We're not going to read insults that are just nasty.
Unless you pay James $10 and then you can insult us.
This one from Kang044. No, I'm talking about the super chatters. One came in that really laid a good licking on you, but
Well,
I'm
how
saying
much
that I
was
don't.
it? It's
Only
$1,
two.
you know. Oh, yeah, screw that. That's retarded.
$2. Come on, folks.
A
This
two for
is
dude. If
a-
you're gonna be
That's what I
insulting
do.
it,
If you're gonna
at
do
least
10.
yeah, at least make it worth the man's time to read it. Like we'll sit here and listen. Like you guys want to throw tomatoes, we got you. But at least put in some effort, man. Show you care.
I don't understand. Why would you want people to insult you? You just you take.
Oh,
Is it some sort of like masochist thing? Why do you take so much pleasure in that?
no, I'm saying I don't care. We're saying that if people want to be cheap to insult, they should give you more money. It's to promote you.
Yeah,
And
I feel like if you only want to give us $2 to make fun of us, you don't want to make fun of us that bad, right? It's kind of like a weak little impulse.
you're not even trying. That's super low effort. You could do better. You could give James
Kang044
more.
says the modern world is built by people that have studied and take that education and make stuff. The internet, cars, computers, MRI machines. Question for Alan and Shane. Can you please name something you have contributed to?
I've contributed to a great research in scientific suppression of measurements that led to a false merger of cosmology, philosophy, and physics, known as the heliocentric model. And I chronologically go through that, right? The history of ether physics, the history of interferometry on my YouTube channel, Space Audits, and you can find out more about that on spaceaudits.net.
Yeah, I'm just a regular dude. I work a regular 9 to 5 job. I'm an accountant. I play with Excel.
here.
I just work here, man. It's fine.
This one from Isa Kabir says, what was your opponent's weakest argument and why?
Well, pretty all of them, because they were all positions of objects in the sky with respect to time, which was our premise. That was their conclusion. So the difference there is that they don't have anything mutually exclusive in terms of what can the sky tell you about the ground without making assertions. Now, what we introduced was evidence where we have timing differences that comport to specific geometry, right? The calculation angle is going to be different if the Earth is a globe versus if it's flat, which is going to give you a different timing that the star vanishes, right? So you have a guilty, not guilty scenario here, and every time it shows up, the measurements comport with a flat Earth prediction.
Is that to us too?
What's the weakest argument from your opponents? The one where you're like, man, that's just garbage.
I would say it was the bringing up FE core, which he talked about refraction. He specifically claimed refraction. I brought up the actual refraction and showed how it was wrong. That was the weakest.
I'd say it's the general premise, which is the Earth's a globe. It appears to be a globe. Everything's a globe. Everything in the sky moves like a globe. That's just how we see.
This one from Alexander L. says, for Alan, are all photos from space fake?
The ones that are asserted to be from space? Yeah, I would say so. Right? We get into a chain of custody issue for verification. So how would they know?
One of them might be real. We don't know. That's a tough assertion to make.
There could be a real one out there. Who knows?
David Villar says, Alan, you are violating the 45-degree rule. Look it up.
Will do. I'll check it out.
Isn't there a video of you looking up the 45-degree rule?
Oh, you can find that video on spaceaudits.net, I think.
Basil Problem says, Alan, please explain the units in the question, attitude underscore peak equals negative tangent ellipsis.
The units. So the relative elevation of the guy, the elevation of the peak, or the distance to the peak. So we add those together and we multiply that by the angle that we calculated from the earlier calculation.
Distances in meters, angles in degrees. Is that what he's asking?
I think he was saying like define the variables and what they're doing. I don't
Okay.
know.
This one coming in from Alexander L says, Allan doesn't understand E10 math. At most, he passed algebra.
Correct.
Tony Coriolis says, is the zodiac 12 or 13?
Ooh, good
Good
question.
question. No.
Shane,
It doesn't matter.
Don't know,
It's just arbitrary things that people have assigned to
It's made up.
different positions in the equatorial region of the sky. So I mean, you can define 34 of them, or 75, or 27 of them, and you know, just define however many constellations you want.
Well, the
It's
question
arbitrary.
is how many though, because there's 12 or 13 people. There's an argument to be made for 13 to match the lunar calendar of 13 months and do a whole big thing, but I'm actually not sure what the 13th constellation
It's
is.
completely arbitrary. Some people say 12, some say 13, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change any geometry. It's just, hell, somebody else picked a different group of stars that they think looks like some shape.
Okay. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Earthly Skeptic says Shane's angle from the ground works out to be tangent, caret, pointed up, -1. I'm going to just repaste this in chat too. And then parentheses, 2,704 kilometers divided
Inverse
by...
tangent is what you're looking for to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just put it in chat in case you want to even be able to decode it more for me.
Yeah.
Divided by 50.7 kilometers. And folks, that's in the live chat. I just put it in there. Equal
What
to...
was the first number on the top of the numerator of that fraction?
let's see.
Inverse tangent of something over 50.7.
Yes. 2.074 kilometers over 50.7 kilometers equals 2.34. I can't tell the symbol. My eyes are too old. I think it's
degrees.
Like
degrees.
Or 2 degrees, 20 degree,
20
comma,
arc minutes.
Not 2 degree 31 little line. I can't tell if it's an apostrophe or not. So wrong, in all caps, even without considering observer height.
Well, he's using the wrong figures, so I'm not sure what's going on there, right? So he also has some unit disagreement, right? So you want to do altitude in meters or kilometers. So 2,000.
He did them both in kilometers.
Meters. He did, and then the distance 50,700 meters, right? So the tangent of 2,226 over 50,700 comes out to 2.51 degrees, but then you translate that to arc seconds, 2 minutes 31 arc, 2 degrees 31 arc minutes. That's how it comes out, right? So I don't know.
Oh, did he have it in decimal degrees or something?
I think he might have converted it wrong.
I made that mistake once.
It happens to the best of us.
I remember my first time doing this type of math.
Dude, I got the wrong number and I was like, what? What does this even mean? But the issue was me. So,
well, Tango44 says you also have other issues. In particular, they said, Allan and Shane, can you please post the Facebook link of memes that you obviously learned all your science facts from?
absolutely. So the link is spaceaudits.net. And if you click that link, if you go there, right, you can click on a link to the coffee shop, right? You can go there, you can buy a hoodie right now. And if you buy a hoodie within 24 hours of this debate, you get 30% off, 33% off your next purchase. It could be a hat or a hoodie. So,
wow. This one, I'm on my way.
We actually do have a published database and PDF library as well at spaceaudits.com, as well as t-shirts and hats.
Diesel problem. says, Allan, please explain the trigonometric tangent function, i.e., what does it mean geometrically? What are its input units? What are its output units?
It's the ratio of a length of the opposite and adjacent angles of a triangle. So
Okay, this
that's
one
it.
from the Pink Floyd. Jesse found the Blodgett peak data is closer to globe than flat, and Greenhorn reading was off by 2,000 feet. Tune, check Discord DMs for lewd and lascivious photos.
Ooh, fantastic question. Shane, I'm going to screen share on Discord. Can you screen share on
Yeah, did Linux break your screen sharing? Could you
Yeah,
say
just
that
relay it
the-
for me.
oh, all right, I got you.
Yeah, just it's not working for me on Zoom. But yeah, we'll address that real quick. So let's see. Quote unquote close to globe
You
doesn't
gotta send it
mean
to me
anything.
first.
Oh, you know what? Well, I'm on.
I got it.
Oh, you're just gonna
no, I-
share it through Discord. I'm on Discord. Just screen share. What I'm sharing on Discord.
While they are doing this, there we go. Thank you very much.
Let's see. Quote unquote
Screen
close
share.
to globe
you
doesn't
gotta send it
mean
to me
anything.
first.
Oh, wait.
No,
One
well,
second. You're sharing the audio.
I got it.
Oh, you're just gonna.
All right, they can see your Discord now in case you have anything
Got it.
lewd and lascivious.
All right, it's echoing a little bit.
I
Are you
closed it. I
good?
think we're good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's see. So for Blodgett Peak, close to globe doesn't mean anything, right? We can comport. That's why Mike made the change the calculation here to do altitude of peak is equal to altitude observer plus the distance to the peak times the elevation angle. So we can derive what the actual elevation angle would correspond to, because sometimes the angles look ambiguous. But as you can see here, let's see, when we go to Blodgett Peak, none of them correspond to the to the globe, right? Like you're either later with that threshold, or you're not. Like there's no close to the globe. That doesn't mean anything. And then secondly, the Greenhorn Mountain observations were done at the longest distance that this has been tested at so far, which is about 80 miles. And what has been found is that the peaks that are between and behind Greenhorn and North Peak are compressed and occluding, right there. It's hard to tell what's what. And when Mike realized the area that he was recording was in the wrong spot, and he would need to find out which peak is occluding to differentiate the stars, because the calculations, give it they don't comport to the trend that we're seeing here, where these are all like reasonable, plus or minus within a couple of each other, right? And then we have this anomalous thing here. But I think this is a product of optical compression at this extreme distance here, and we're analyzing the wrong peak. So Mike is analyzing that right now for those measurements. So in the big indicator that this is not the correct peak that's doing the occluding, so attributing this to Greenhorn, the reason that this isn't applicable is because Greenhorn is higher than North Peak by 489 meters, and they're 1.5 kilometers apart. But in the videos that you're going to look at, or in this analysis from Jesse, Greenhorn appears to be slanting upwards to North Peak. That's geometrically impossible. So the spot that he thinks he's identified as Greenhorn is not the correct location. We are waiting for better viewing conditions and a further analysis from Mike to determine the discrepancy there. But irrespective of that, right, at this extreme distance, we have distances between 20 and 50 miles where where everything, like where it works just fine.
Yeah, and that argument would mean that 38 measurements match ours and one measurement would match ours, even if that was correct and confirmed. And that's still a very weak position, I think. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
So for reference, Jesse, Path of Light is wondering about a debate with you, Allan, and would love to do that. Maybe James would be interested in hosting that, or somebody else. But
I see him every Monday for the Celestial Theodolite update that we do weekly on Geos. I don't personally like Jesse, and I won't be interacting with him other than that. So
All
he
right.
can see me there.
Wave the
Ooh.
white flag.
I like that. And This one coming in from Even Lord says, Alan and Shane, do you think that the WW2 Germans' Antarctic colony, New Swabia, is still around under American control? Do you think the final experiment was overseen by those colonists and American government?
Is that a real base? I have no
That's
idea.
new. Wow.
Wow. New
Yeah, I don't
Swabia
know.
is an area
Never met
of
her.
Antarctica by Nazi Germany between 38 and 39. Schwabenland. Dude, maybe. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Honestly, that's the craziest question I've heard.
JSS Tiger says, can a flat earther tell me what the tangent of 45 degrees is? Thanks, guys.
Yes, the answer to that question can be found on spaceaudits.net. And if you click on the coffee shop there, you can check out the Ether Cosmology limited time merch.
Tangent of 45 degrees.
One unit circle is how they
Hey,
did it before calculus.
the question was for us, McToon, I believe.
Yeah, you're diverting. Got it.
I'm answering a question that was directed at me and not you. Your commentary is unnecessary.
Got it. Thanks a lot. Divert away. Proceed.
Alejandro says, we all know why shame Saint Plagiaire refuses to
Plagiar, yes.
Plagiaire. Was I saying it right? Refuses to answer. He has multiple times admitted he uses the globe for all calculations of his quote unquote model.
Yeah.
No, it runs on sun azimuth and elevation, which are model independent.
I've looked at the source code on your webpage. It includes the radius of the globe and the distance from the Earth to the sun.
Luckily we talked about how that was derived in the equivalence there.
It doesn't
Definitely
change
includes the
anything.
radius of the
You
vision.
use
Get the personal
you
scale.
use a globe. You
It
admit the Earth is a
also
globe.
uses
Listen,
distance
claim it's
based on the
equivalent.
angle of
All of your
the solar
geometry
disk.
on your website
First
uses
of
the
all,
globe.
And
He has a
then
solar
there's
all of
panel
the
manual
geometry.
that says
Oh, the solar
equivalent.
panel manual from the 70s. I forgot.
It's equivalent.
I forgot
Oh,
the solar panel
you-
manual.
whenever
you're
you
not
The,
gonna
grab
reference-
the
it.
You're not
pamphlet
gonna
from the
reference
solar
NASA.
panel that
You're not gonna
totally
reference
debunks all
astronomy.
the geometry in his own website. That's globe.
You're not going to reference NASA. You're not going to reference the astronomy manual. You're not
Sorry,
gonna
NASA
reference
says the
Solarium.
Earth is a globe too. I'm sorry, I should have referenced NASA too.
The
I
claim is
generally don't,
specifically
but
about
I'll
how the
fine
objects
if
in
you
the sky are
want. NASA
perceived.
says the Earth is a globe. They got pictures. They send back.
Well, what it
Hundreds
actually
of pictures
is,
a
right, is
day.
the size of the
James.
solar disk is
Hey,
0.5
1 second. Stop.
centimeters.
Everyone just stop. James, why are you letting this happen? We're doing super chats. We're having a full back and forth talking over each other. Are you going to do something or
Would you like to
next
go to the
question?
next? I
Next,
can't
please.
understand if your concern was that you want to go to the next question.
My
Or are you spending too much time on this?
My concern is that when everyone's talking over each other, you specifically are the one that's supposed to be like, hey, we can't do that. Sounds like audible dog shit. Nobody can hear or talk or get a point across.
So there,
Do
of
you
course,
actually
will
need
be different thresholds for when people are like, okay, that's enough. But
And
in
on
the
top of
obvious
that, the
case,
question was for
all right,
us.
am I allowed to actually answer your question,
I
Alan?
disagree with everybody.
Sorry.
Is that there's at some point, some threshold, even like you and I would actually agree where it's like, you don't have to jump in yet. Like if it's just like for a second, then obviously you just let it go. And then some people will say, oh, but if it's 2 seconds, then you jump in. Mine's pretty laissez-faire. So it is kind of like modern day debate is pretty much it is kind of blood sports here. But if you want more moderation where we move to the next question, for example, we can do that. I
If
wasn't
it
sure
gets
if
to
your
a
concern
point-
was more about the being interrupted or wanting to go to the next question rather than keep
Yeah,
going on with this
y-
one. Or
yeah,
both.
well, both, right? Because one, the question was for us. Two, talking over everyone, nobody could hear anything. Now all that time that was spent is gone.
Which was
Nobody
the point.
can decipher anything, and we should just move on. And if it comes to something like that where everyone's talking over each other, like he was about to do, just be like, hey, we're next question. No,
Yeah, I'll let you go there. But in our defense, when you answer the question with plugging your website and t-shirts, I think that opens the door for other people to jump in. No?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in when you do it. Go to the sales presentation.
It actually doesn't open the door for that.
I think it does.
I'm gonna
No,
promise.
no, nope.
When a sales presentation comes up in a debate about science,
right,
I'm jumping
all right.
in.
Oh, are you going to jump in? 1 second. I got you, Brody.
This one coming in from JSS Tiger says, the Haversine formula uses angles from the center of a sphere for latitude. Flat Earth latitude is a distance measurement, not an angle.
That's true. Very true.
All of it's always calculated. No one measures it.
latitude is synonymous with elevation angles to Polaris in the northern hemisphere. What do you mean? Like, you know,
It's only
No, it's
ever
not.
been
45
calculated.
latitude is
I
45
was
degrees
I was
elevation.
in
Side
I was
talking.
in
That's
South
weird,
America
because
and
we're
I
actually
didn't
the
see
side
Polaris.
That's supposed to be talking and answering questions and moving on. We're not here to continue the debate after the fact. We're trying to move on. So continue.
Oh my gosh,
Why we're speaking. And
The
don't talk
ambulance
over
is on the way, Alan.
anything. No one has answered. He's trying to answer a question so we can move on. So don't do that, McToon.
Shut up, Mike.
This one from JSS Tiger says the Havers. We got this one. This one from Basil Problem says, Alan, let altitude underscore observer be x and distance to peak be y and true elevation parentheses occulted star be a multiple of n asterisk. I'm going to put this in chat just so people can look at it. Pi divided by 2, where n is equal to 1, 3, 5. What is altitude peak? Is it infinite? I'm going to put that in live chat too, just so you can see the question yourself if you'd like, Alan, because I know that's a mouthful.
Yeah, not sure.
All right. This, you could plug your T-shirt though. If you want to do that, but this one from
Not every time.
this one from Bucksod Buster says, Shane, you like to take shots at my people hiding behind your keyboard, huh? Tishmore Al Hagav Lach.
Well, I mean, I take shots wherever. You know, I'm taking shots at Mike right here. That's fine. It's all in good fun. No one's upset.
Basil Problem says, Shane, what are your grooming recommendations for that magical neck beard?
Shave it once every 2 weeks is what you do. Yeah.
It's a standard issue cleanse, they call it.
Yeah, like you use the same width as you do your head because it's easier.
David Villar says, Alan,
I'm efficient.
coordinate system, quote unquote, corrections don't make people teleport across the vast southern flat Earth distances.
That doesn't make any sense.
Got
The
a
coordinate
question?
system is symmetrical. The projection makes it appear as if it's not symmetrical, but it's referencing the same thing. The distance is the same. It just looks different. So the correction actually shows you what the actual distance would be, because a lot of people will draw a straight line, right, on a Gleason's, which isn't the right one, right? When you do the corrections and apply it correctly, it makes a curved line that's the same distance as it is in the north.
You got it. This one from Alejandro says, Tune, Globey, do you think Shane and Allan are too stupid to realize how dumb they sound? Do you think they are just full of themselves and arrogant, or both?
I think they know.
I think he's selling shirts.
Yeah.
I think he's pushing traffic to his website, selling shirts.
They had this in their presentation a bunch of times, but when it comes down to it, like, oh no, that's not what we think the Earth actually is.
Right.
But they won't say what they think the Earth actually is.
Well, he just said he knows it. It has curved lines, curved longitude lines, he said. So why not draw it out? Make yourself famous.
Yeah.
Make it work.
This one from Earthly Skeptic. Flat Earth predicts Polaris elevation is equal to 30 degrees at 12 degrees north latitude. Globe predicts 12 degrees. Measurement equals 12 degrees. So agrees with globe and disagrees with flat Earth.
Hypothesis, null hypothesis. Got it. Globe confirmed.
All right. Richie says, Allan provided zero evidence. ... Idiot? I don't know if they're asking if I'm an idiot or like if it's directed at Allan. Allan.
It's ambiguous to say the least, right? So there's a non-zero chance he's talking about you, man.
We'll
Dude,
split
there's
it.
definitely a video about how we brought that up in the beginning when we said we brought measurements and evidence of laser test FE core plus 39 measurements of star occlusion times that agree with the flat Earth perspective. But thanks for affirming what we predicted in the beginning.
But what if those measurements are shit?
You mean they're all
Well, they're not.
Don't forget that.
It could be.
Big time.
What if your collimator is broken, but you still do the observation anyway?
What if the time never matches the globe prediction because the elevation angle is actually planar?
This one coming in from David Villar says, Allan, you call all optical alignment an illusion.
Well, there is a spatial field and there is a visual field. When things are close to you, like for example, my cup on my desk, it's pretty linear, so the chances that I misperceive where my cup is at is pretty low, right? But as things get further away, and then based on their size relative to you, that scaling is different. And as you get at the extreme distances to the horizon, that's where the effects become the most extreme. This is noted in all the citations that I talked about earlier, where people were proposing different theories and different curvature rates optically to explain the mechanistically in a unified theory of how we perceive things and that difference, because it is a known difference. It's just that if you start applying it, you're going to have to explain why surveying measurements aren't accounting for any sort of perspective in regards to the geometry of how we see.
This one coming in. King044 says, quote, "So we see in a dome of vision," unquote, does LiDAR, am I saying it right? See in a dome of vision, does time of flight cameras see in a dome of vision? How about a pinhole camera? Does radar see in a dome of vision? This was very embarrassing.
Well, it depends on the radar system and how the wavefront is being propagated. Like it's going to spread out spherically. So, I'm not sure that, that's kind of a malformed question.
You got it. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. JSS Tiger says, I would like to see a diagram of the latitude angle for Haversine for the flat Earth. Something that shows an angle with a vertex and two rays.
Awesome. I'd love to see that.
Great question.
Can't answer it, then you can see there's the globe.
This is coming in from Buck Sod Buster says, MCToon, who do you think smells worse, Shane or Arwin? I don't understand. Why do they spell Allan as Arwin?
No, it's Arwen. Arwen is a different person, and the answer is Arwen.
Who's Arwen?
Arwen's a flat earther from the Netherlands.
Oh,
Part of the Oakley crew,
He's-
and he got
yeah.
ostracized. He was looking for
Yeah.
a home recently.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's got a crossbow on his wall.
all right. Well, let's just move on. Nothing about none of that.
Poor Arwen. This one from Desmond Smith, parentheses Des, says, I honestly don't understand how this is still a topic. Flat earthers are clearly lying to other people or lying to themselves. This
Yep.
is crazy.
For sure.
Thank you for your question. You guys know the answer, though, right?
Was that a question for us? I can't remember.
I think it was
More
a
of a
statement.
comment.
Oh, gotcha.
General. Just start giving us the dollar amount so we can decide how much we want to answer them.
Dude, yeah, that determines the effort. How much effort? So read off the dollar amount if possible.
It's actually $5.
That's decent. That's decent.
You wipe your ass with $5 bills. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna tip the pizza man $5. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that wasn't even a
Desmond?
question. You got an insult. We said $10 for insult. So
Desmond Smith says, oh, we got that one. Dr. Heckle says, why do they use stars as proof for a flat earth when they don't believe stars are real?
Ooh, great question. So whether or not whatever we conceptualize a star as being is not important. What's important is when the star is there and when it's not there. And that time you can derive specifically angles that correspond to either planar trigonometry or what the globe would predict, meaning the time would be different. It would take longer because the star has to get lower in the horizon. So it doesn't matter what they are, what we believe they are. What matters is, can we see them or not?
and it's mutually exclusive to, disprove the globe every time.
This one. Okay, sorry. This one coming in from Noah's Ark, Kansas says, the only thing this debate has convinced me of is that anyone who cares about the shape of the earth is gay. I'm surprised.
All right.
Says,
Respect.
I'm surprised James sat in on this. I would leave if not for the Q&A. Anyways, amazing. 07. I don't know what that means.
Fair enough. Touche.
Is that
Dude,
some new?
salute.
Okay. Very gay bunch here. Dr. Heckle, thanks for your question. Al Capone MMA says, explain gravity gradient measurement on the flat earth model. You soy boys.
gravity gradient measurement. With what tools are we talking about here? It didn't list anything specific for us
Talking
to
about
talk
pressurize the
about.
container, right, to keep the atmosphere in.
No,
if we ever
no,
say you
that
can't have a
it
container
would be
or
with the gravimeter. The gravimeters measure a reduction in the magnitude of gravity with increasing elevation.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that one. It's a good question.
You know where you can find a video of Allan thinking about that?
Where, Shane?
spaceaudits.net.
What's there?
Well, there's the playlist of you doing just that, and also, hoodies, t-shirts, and hats.
Nice.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Basil Problem says, MDD, please confirm with Allan. Terrence Tao believes the Earth is a globe. Does Allan know more math than Terry Tao, not Terrence Howard?
We don't know who either one of those people are.
I don't know who either one of those people are.
Simon Allen, thanks for your kind super chat. Appreciate it. Tyson Dog says, if celestial navigation is based on the angle of elevation to Polaris, what is the angle from Sydney, Australia, sailors used for nearly 200 years?
What?
No one said that?
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys did.
Jack Fetter says,
sailors do celestial navigation in the southern hemisphere, but they can't see Polaris.
You said it's based on the angle to Polaris.
And every star in the sky comports to the same relationship in the northern hemisphere. Yes or no?
Yes, and that relationship is
Great.
a linear difference with this with oh my gosh, with the same distance across the surface of the Earth, completely matching a globe and contradicting anything flat. It needs to be an asymptotic relationship if it were flat, but it's not. It's linear.
Shane, what was it about the correction angles at at different elevations with respect to how far things are away from you?
Right. If you're looking
exactly what you predict with that
Not
linear
asymptotic.
Hey, please do not interrupt, sir. We are trying to wrap this up, and if you're going to interject on my question, then remain silent while we answer. Don't be rude.
Yeah, if you're getting distances based on optical angles, the further it are, it seems to, as it compresses into the horizon, it approaches a logarithmic scale, right? And the atmospheric corrections for that would be the inverse of those observations. So the atmospheric corrections actually straighten it out the further you go. As it recedes into obscurity, right? That's when it approaches.
I would love to see the math applied to that, but you won't. You don't. You can't.
Well, that's why it's not linear, right? Because past the equator, when you're seeing
I just love
Polaris,
to have you show that to me.
and you have a calculation for how far it would be based on its proximity to the horizon. A degree above the horizon isn't going to give you a linear relationship, so it can't be partially linear. It can be linear.
It certainly can. The globe predicts that. It does. Flat Earth does not.
Always telling someone's confident about it when they say right after everything they say too, right?
You can reference the correction angles in almanacs though for that and traverse tables with respect to the
but they're not asymptotic. They're not asymptotic corrections.
Your conclusions are premise.
They're not asymptotic. They must be asymptotic for flat Earth.
According to who?
That's not a get out of jail.
Geometry. According to an application of geometry, they have to be asymptotic.
Our premise is that we see in a curve, we see the exact same thing.
It's your baseless assertion.
Your conceptualization.
You say that's how we see things, but it's in affirming the consequent.
That I was asked, number one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to speak here. So you have singular zenith measurements of stars when trigonometric functions were completed to traverse the ground and then take the zenith measurement. So you have a deviation from where it's expected to be. That's all you have for an explanation of curvature. We have mountain timing occlusions that are mutually exclusive to us using the same stars that you believe are only work on a globe, imposing straw men of asymptotic conditions that saying that we can't have that. It has to be linear on the flat Earth. Well, guess what, dog? We see in a dome of vision. What does that create? A logarithmic scale.
No, it doesn't.
And that's exactly.
It creates a linear. It's a linear relationship.
To the next question. Now that I've answered the question that was asked to me, and I'm not being talked over by MCToon like that. So next question, please.
We'll jump to the next question. This one from Jack Fetter says, the level of flurf derp these guys spew is exponentially stupid. You guys are wasting your lives on something a 7th grade math student can prove.
Well, a 7th grade math student proved that using star time occlusions, you can differentiate between the shape of the Earth using mutually exclusive occlusion timings that have thus far only shown evidence for a flat Earth.
We don't look at the sky to prove the ground around here, okay?
No, you don't do that.
Was our question.
This one
Where?
from
Where?
Earthly Skeptic says Terrence Tao has
Hey,
degrees and
real quick before you move
Shut
on
up,
to the
Mike.
next question, if they're going to interrupt and interject it on the back of every question, I'm just going to leave. I will stay for
Okay.
every question, but I'm not going to
Okay.
be harassed and
Every
but,
question's
like,
for you,
on
then
the-
leave.
it's
Then
not
leave.
fair.
like
Then
there's
leave.
no reason for any
I
of this.
do
Like
think,
this
though,
dude's
it's-
trying to chime in right now as if he has something to say, like he's not acting like an asshole.
what we can do is, because I actually agree with you that if you get asked let's say someone raises an objection to you, you answer it, then it would be like, all right, like, they equal each other out, balance each other out.
Oh,
But if
okay, so
then, hold
is it a
on,
back and
shut up
forth
for a
thing?
second. Okay, so but then if you have MC Tune who's like, oh man, that was so stupid because of X, Y, and Z, I agree with you. Then it's like, well, you should get a chance to respond to MC Tune before we go to the next one, because otherwise it's like you're being teamed up on by both the question asker plus MC Tune, and you only ever got to respond. You only got your say once, but there was two like responses from the Globe side, or like, yeah.
Well,
So let's have you end with some of these where you get the last word. In fact, like, let's actually have it be where from now on you get the last word. So if it's a question for you, you'll get the last word, including if MC Tune, or would you rather just be like, hey, like, no more rebuttals because this is just going to take forever? Because I
No,
understand
no
if
more
you
it's
want to do
rebuttals.
that.
But how about this?
It's gonna take forever.
Hey, here's an idea. Wave your hands when you have a question for me. I'll just talk to my chat until then, because
Here's another idea.
I'm getting
It's
bored.
It's not
If a
our fault.
question
Nobody
is
cares what you have
directed
to
at me,
say.
Don't
No,
talk.
they're poking fun at you,
Question is directed
idiots.
at you, I
You are
won't talk. That's
stupid,
how I've
and they're
been
asking you
acting
questions
this
they know
whole
you
debate,
can't
and you're not
actually
treating me with the
answer.
same respect, and I don't appreciate that. Right? When you get asked a question, am I going, that's stupid, blah blah blah? Am I doing that? No.
All right.
I'm silent.
Yeah, just wave
So
when
show
you're
me the
ready for
same
me,
courtesy.
James.
I don't care about your hand waving method, dog. We're not doing that. I'm not having a back and forth with you endlessly on questions. He's asking a question, I give an answer, we move on to the next one. If you have a question, if someone wants to ask you a question, they can donate to James with a super chat directing it to you. Please do not talk and interrupt me like that. It's uncalled for.
Let's do it where we do give the last word. We're either going to give Allan the last word in terms of the person asking the question, or it sounds like he'd prefer, like, hey, like, let's just go through a number of them without a rebuttal. Because otherwise, it is true if we have everyone having a rebuttal. Otherwise, you have to at least be okay with him having the last word if you do get a rebuttal. This makes sense, right? Okay. This one from Jack Fetter says the level of, we got that one. Earthly Skeptic says Terrence Tao has degrees and is from quote unquote Los Angeles. I don't know what their point is.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Do you have any other factoids about Terrence Tao that we could learn about before we wrap up here? Because I think there's he probably went to high school somewhere. Where did he go to high school? Because I think I might know Terrence Tao. You said he was in Los Angeles. What year was that?
I think it was at
Well,
Ridgemont High.
yeah, we'll have that guy super chat and ask it to figure it out.
Alejandro Vallejo says, so Shame and Allan love to talk about trigonometry and science, but are too dumb and too coward to do either of them live. Classic flat earthers.
I just use a calculator, man. I'm
Ooh,
not
there's
ashamed of that.
actually there's videos of us doing math at adl.place and spaceautist.net.
This one from Basil Problem says, Shane, since you have a minor in computer software, what's your favorite programming language?
Ooh, I learned Java and I learned then JavaScript, but now I'm into Python. It's just cool and easy to use.
Child of Yahweh MD says MCToon standard refraction doesn't account for vertical temp gradients at surface. Genius. Refractive coefficient at surface found to be minus 2.7, not 1.3, making surfaces, i.e. mountaintops, appear shorter during the day.
I don't know if he's talking about the FE core measurement or not, because that certainly wasn't the case. And the pressure differential from the ground, where the vantage point 1 to the vantage point 2 is a reduction in pressure, and so it's only at the lower levels of the air that the temperature is the critical point. Once you get above that, it's the pressure that's the dominant one.
Yeah, okay. You got it. Some people are getting so pissed at, okay, Child of Yahweh MD says, James, seriously? I don't understand why they like this one from Dr. Heckle says, how does Shane? Oh, you're right. I mean, it is blood sports here, and we say we'll let people say anything that's within YouTube terms of service. So, how does Shane wash his multiple necks?
With a what's a gay scrunchie I can name? I don't know. Whatever that water bath thing is.
What was the dollar value? Hold on.
That one was $1.99.
Bro,
Ooh,
you
I
know
wouldn't
the-
even have given that one. Come on, Jane.
Bro, you know the rules. $10 for a response.
It's not about the money, it's about blood sports, which is where you let strangers on
true.
the internet say whatever the hell they want.
It's a
This
loofah,
was-
by the
Well,
way. Now I'm
well,
going to
that's
mute
true.
again because I don't
Thank
want to
you.
interrupt.
Thank you.
Noah's
Globey.
Ark,
Thank you.
Kansas. Oh, wait, go ahead. Somebody want to say something? Sorry about that. Was that Shane or McGlobeface?
I was just interjecting with that's a loofah, and I only know that because I have one. Gay
Wow.
loofah.
Because I can't, you guys are going to both be insulted by this. I can't tell the difference between Shane's voice and McGlobeface. You have literally the
Oh my
exact
God.
same voice.
I literally hate you.
I'm sorry. But look at Shane. Shane looks kind of proud. He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll take that." Like,
Well, no, I was laughing at Globey's response immediately. He was like, "Fuck you." I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That he hates me so much."
I couldn't even tell who said that. I mean, I saw Shane's mouth moving, but I was thinking this sounds like it's McGlobeface still talking.
All right, give
Oh,
us something
wow.
both to say real quick, and we'll do it side by side.
I enjoy the loofahs.
I enjoy the loofahs.
I enjoy the loofahs.
Okay, it's not
It's
exactly.
not even close.
One of
I'm way more
you
Boston.
changed it, Globeface. You changed your
did
voice.
not.
This one from
I did not.
Dude,
Noah's
Mandela?
Ark.
Mandela? He used to sound like Shane. I remember.
Noah's Ark, Kansas is Allan. So you could not believe in God without creation being flat. It is the same with a globe. Shane is beyond lost. He won't understand.
Well, a big thing for me was the logical contradiction of everything coming from nothing. Like I just didn't have room for any spiritual meaningfulness, right? I just didn't interpret it that way. But, after you change cosmologies, right? You're like, oh, well, it logically tracks that it was created, right? Like no one's ever seen a DVD player that wasn't made by another man, right? So somebody obviously made this place. Now, obviously mainstream doesn't necessarily say that there's no God or anything like that, right? But I'm saying the way that I internalized what was being put forward cosmologically, I was like, oh well, I mean, how could there be a God if my boy Jupiter's out there, weighs this much, as a gas giant that came from the sun, ejected as a, what do you call it, can't remember the word for when a planet's born or
Projectile?
whatever, but yes, same thing. But yeah, so it just didn't leave any room for me in that regards. Just couldn't see it.
You got it. You got it. Thank you very much. And if you forgot to subscribe, folks, I just flipped on that subscribers only chat mode. This one coming in from Noah's Ark, Kansas says Allan. So you could not believe in God without creation. We got that. Jack Fetter says, by the way, folks, you won't regret subscribing. I've got to tell you, we have a tour planned for Modern Day Debate this year that you'll be like, James, how? Like, what happened? Whoa, this is like game changing. It's seriously going to blow your mind. It's going to, in the words of MCToon, it's going to be orgasmic. This one from Desmond
I didn't
Smith
say that.
says, it is a cult. These dudes know they're lying. Wait, what is a cult?
Flat
The
Earth is a
globe,
cult.
obviously. Oh, well, that's very confusing.
Flat
as
Earth is a
comment.
cult.
No, I mean like a cult, like OCCULT. Like,
Oh, is that what they said?
yeah.
Oh,
Wrong.
well, there is some of that in Flat Earth for sure. A lot of that.
This one from Jack Fetter says, do flurfs, in all caps, realize when people talk, they use inflection. Sometimes they have varying pitch and introduce pauses, and sometimes full stops when talking.
I was not aware of that. No.
Never better.
You guys, this one from Desmond Smith says, dude, forget you guys for judging my $2. I'm never going to watch this channel again. And I had to pay $5 just to make this post. Forget you.
I'm sorry, James. I meant for that to go the other way, to be honest.
This one from Noah's Ark, Kansas says the globe earthers never answered how it benefited their life. Maybe I missed it.
The
Good.
sweet, sweet NASA money.
Hmm.
All of $0 so far.
Yeah.
But it's counting. It's going to go up logarithmically.
It's made my hair gray and it's made me tired because I stay up late doing it. So I don't know. I don't think it benefits me at all.
Mm,
Other than entertainment. It's fun.
that's sad. This one coming in from Noah's Ark, Kansas said the globe earthers never answered. We got that. Child of Yahweh MD. This person's been triggered by me all night. Citation for refraction in chat. I can't post here. I get what you're saying. So Tony Coriolis says, what is everyone's favorite constellation? Like Orion's Belt or the Big Dipper?
Yeah, I like the Big Yipper.
Hmm.
I like the DeLorean. It's at 42 degrees north latitude.
You got it.
I like octans.
That's a good one.
Tony Coriolis says, we got that one. Anybody else? Earthly Skeptic says, flat
Shane, don't
earthers.
act like you don't have a favorite constellation, bro. Get in there.
Aquarius, probably, right?
Oh, Aquarii 31 or whatever.
Aquarius.
Or 39.
This one from Earthly Skeptic says, flat earthers, curious where the, quote, 2,226 meter, unquote, figure came from.
Height of the peak from Google Earth plus the observer height, I think.
Google Earth. He used a globe for that, by the way.
The graticule, right? You can't distinguish the graticule from the
No,
globe.
it's
You
not the
call it a
graticule.
Well,
Use
it
the
seems like we
globe.
have a situation here where someone who wasn't asked a question is now chiming in as if they were asked. So that should probably stop, and
It
we're
was
going to
dis-
move on to the
It was
next
discussed
question.
that you'll
We'll
get the
go to
last
the next
response.
question.
Well, there, we already covered that. So the fact that you feel you need to keep reintroducing that every time means that you're scared and afraid. So just shut up and don't talk, and let us get through the next questions.
This one from Child of Yahweh MD says, MCToon, will you debate origin of life / intelligent design evidence?
No, I don't debate that. What I do when I debate, I make the other side take the factually wrong position. So that topic, I don't know the factually wrong position there.
Sarcastic Warlock says, if the earth is truly flat, then why does Australia exist? And why are the people there nothing but criminals and savages?
Well,
It's, they're
you know
white,
what,
so you can say
you
that.
know what they say about the Australians,
Yes. Go on.
James. No, you know what they say.
Yeah, he just said they're all criminals and savages. And it's okay
No, you
because they're
were
white. We can say that.
no, you were talking about it earlier before the show started.
Oh, yeah. It's in their bloodline. The Australians are like that. This one from a, let's see. By the way, why can't I say honky? Because I don't see why that's so bad. Or what's the other one that I'm not supposed to say? Cracker? That's like, if it's supposed to be something that we, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot MCToon is streaming this too, and so is McGlobeface. Well, I should be able to say that. It's not
Oh, you say whatever you want. You're good.
from Jesse says, Allan, why do you lie? Don't worry, the algorithm will think I was talking about food. Why do you lie? I showed you that topography and star azimuth angles prove it was Greenhorn Mountain. That's why you won't debate me.
No, I won't debate you because you're just honest. I specifically went over the relative elevation difference and the distance between them and how it would be geometrically impossible for the slope to be going upwards from a peak that's physically geometrically lower in reality. Obviously, the error is in the analysis, and we'll have to wait until further measurements and analysis come through, like primarily better viewing conditions, because as you know from analyzing the video, the weather conditions were super poor. So why don't we wait and re-examine it? Or you could try and re-examine the other 39 measurements that don't comport to a globe, right? The reason I won't debate you is because this level of dishonesty is sickening and I can only tolerate it in small doses. That's why I'll see you on Monday and nowhere else. So if you want to talk about this on Monday, I'll see you Monday at EA, but not here. I want to keep super chatting and chiming in like you got me. You are making a claim where the elevation is geometrically impossible. I'm not super worried about refuting you or following you around the internet to reply to everything you do.
Slithery says, can we donate CC's hair? Is that conspiracy cats? I don't understand. Who's CC? Can we donate their
No.
hair to Shane, please? Shane, you have lovely locks. Don't listen to them. Noah's Ark, Kansas says, I'm out. Keep moving forward, brother. Thanks for your kind words, Noah's Ark, Kansas. Who is CC, though? I'm looking in chat.
He's another flat earther.
Beta! This one from... Let me just load the old... 2 seconds. Oh, here it is. Basil Problem says, MCToon, who smells worse, Allan or Mikey? MCToon? We must know.
It's Mikey. His foot is rotting because he's got gangrene. Poor guy. He should see a doctor. He's in Canada. It's free. He doesn't see him well enough.
Oh no, PhD Tony, who's from Australia, says, good to see you, Tony. Says, does MCToon agree that Allan has 0 peer-reviewed work, 0 formal qualifications, 0 real-world qualifications? All he
What was that
has
for, though?
is, quote, we should believe what he says because he says so.
That is correct, Tony.
This one from Sleeper Spartan
correct.
says, given the flat Earth, Allan, this is your chance. Jump on him. You know there were rebuttals before, so to be fair, we can give you a rebuttal. Do you want to jump on him?
No, I don't care at all.
Figuratively?
Yeah, we don't.
So,
yeah, we don't give a
PhD
shit.
Tony is retarded. He gets drunk on stream and yells at people. Is what he thinks is irrelevant.
Oh,
That dude's
not
academic as
Tony.
fuck and
I
acts
meant
like a
jump
retard.
on MC Tony's
Oh.
No,
not
I
even
know.
here to defend
I know,
himself.
but
We
in
have to go to.
response to what
Listen,
Tony said,
everybody's
to
had a
Toon to
little
get
too
me
much to
agitated
drink.
is like
We gotta go.
aggravate. That's like
Can you
doesn't mean
make fun of
anything.
MC instead of Tony? Because MC right here. Look at him. Look at his self-satisfied face over there.
I like McToon more than Tony.
No. This one from Sleeper Spartan says, given the flat Earth hypothesis that Antarctica is an ice wall, why do expeditions have to turn towards the South Pole to stay on course? Flat Earth would require that you turn away.
We actually have footage of an Antarctic expedition on spaceaudits.net.
That explains all the answers to that question.
You got it. This one coming in from Dr. Hackle says, oh, come on. They just keep asking it. They need an answer. They say, how does Shane wash his multiple necks? They put it more than once. I can't.
Well, now I know it's a loofah. Thanks, Globey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We totally answered that already. What's this guy's problem? Sleeper Spartan, I think we just got his right. Yeah. Jimmy Madison 42 says, for Shane, why have tides been predicted accurately over 43,800,000 times in the US over the last 20 years, 2 years in advance by using the globe model?
Well, no, they use dynamic tidal theory to make tidal predictions, which is, the sinusoidal interpretation of the main constituent M2, which is the harmonic analysis. But really, they pretend that they're using the equilibrium tidal theory, which is derived from Newton using gravity and constructive gravitational interference from the sun and the moon, which were supposed to interpolate to get the highest high and the lowest low. So no. Actually, that's not using the globe. Equilibrium tidal theory isn't used because the Earth isn't hula hooping through a giant tidal bulge of water as it oscillates around. That's not what's causing the tides. There would be a direct relationship if that was the case. That moon would be directly pulling the tides. There wouldn't be a 90-degree offset in the highest high. Anyway, also there's many videos.
What's causing it? What's causing it?
ADL.place. Definitely the sun and the moon. The argument isn't that your argument is the gravity. We're saying that it's their other effects, right? You got electromagnetic and electric effects. Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense though.
Well, that's how we argue gravity, right? You argue gravity, we argue electromagnetic. It's the same principle, but it's definitely dependent on the proximity of the sun and the moon.
Nope.
I want to move to the next one. Poor Allan is in Europe. Allan wants to go to sleep. Allan, you're in Europe, right?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Okay, then we're going to keep you here all night. Earthly Skeptic says, flat earthers, when does an angle nearly equal its tangent?
That's an indirect implication of our lack of knowledge of the small angle approximation, I think, but which we do have videos for at adl.placed and spaceaudits.net.
This one from Noah's Ark, Kansas says Allan is such a. This has an asterisk. You talk over me, quote unquote. Go watch. They say. I think they're saying that you say that, Allan. That you say, "Oh, you talk over me." They say, "Go watch the last connectly debate." I don't know how to say their name. Allan is such a
Celestial
baby. Don't overtalk me. Sounds like my wife.
Well, if your wife doesn't appreciate being spoken over in a formal debate, and I could see that. She seems like a smart, intelligent woman.
Next.
Jimmy Madison 42 says, I asked my tides question on other stream. Okay, we already read it. Don't worry, Jimmy. Noah's Ark, Kansas says, everything coming from nothing is dumb. Nothing to do with a shape. So, PayPal is below. I don't understand. But maybe they put their PayPal in chat. Child of Yahweh MD says, MCToon, you're right. Temperature is more important than pressure for refractive coefficient making. A negative K value near the surface making things shorter, not taller.
But generally, there's not a negative K value, so I don't know what the issue is. And the examples in from FE Core had a positive K value.
You got it. Let's see. Leophilia says, do we time out for racism? Yes, except for me being able to call people honkies and crackers. That one is okay. Why can't I say it about white people? That's like, isn't it like how certain words?
Can I just specifically measurement 5, 11.4 degrees Celsius at water level, 13.3 degrees at 2 meters. That is a positive K value. I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm going to put it official in chat. No racist slurs except calling people donkeys or crackers. Gosh. That's a rule. So for real, don't say the other ones, like that's not okay. But do feel free to use the ones that I mentioned. Because MCToon looks so sad. I looked at his face. What? I don't understand if I'm saying it about white people. Mutton Chopper. Mutton Chopper says MCToon, I think they're saying, is like a boy, like a child. It's flat, period. How is the status of the celestial Theodolite? Let's go, Shane and Allan. Woo! The Earth is flat.
It sounds like a great question. How much was that one?
That's how occultist acts.
That one was like $20.
Well, you see, that's what we're talking about.
This one from
yo, real quick. How many flat earthers super chatted to insult the boys versus us?
Was it 0? Was it less than 0?
Is there an average we can get? Is there a coefficient? Anyway, continue.
Basal problem says, Shane, I'm worried about your blood pressure. Okay. Your blood pressure. Please check it soon. Okay. Well, that's sweet if you think about it. This one from Noah's Ark.
Blood pressure.
Noah's Ark. I can't tell if that was Shane or McGlobeface. Who said that?
Did you start that rumor yourself, James? Is that what happened?
You need help, James.
Okay. It's so hard for me to tell.
Well, let's use our logical brains. He said he's not sure he believes in blood pressure. So would that come from a flat earther or from a guy in a nice coat?
That's a great point. Wait, you can't be real. You can't be serious that you don't believe in blood pressure. You're just trolling and being funny. Like you're joking, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's funnier if you don't know whether I'm trolling or not.
Okay. Noah's Ark, Kansas says modern day blank blank. I can't say that. It ain't but a thing. Globers having no meaning behind their debating is kind of sad. Go spend time with your family. Why try to convince Convince people of a globe Earth if you have no answer for the previous question. I think that they had asked the question about if it brings you meaning, like what positive benefit does like arguing for the globe Earth give you? I might be wrong. They also brought up the idea of like an idea of a world coming from nothing. I don't know. These guys are
Well,
doing 4D chess on me with these. They say, go spend time with your family. Who can disagree with that? There's an Artful Dodd Jr. says, Tune slash Globeface. How did CC not place in top left?
Yeah, CC was the 2-year reigning champion of top left, so he's disqualified from running again. Of course, you can only win once.
Okay.
Current top leftian champion is Flatzoid.
Plus my boy Fred placing top 3.
Oh yeah, Fred, good showing.
Calling you out, Fred. Good job.
Coming out of the out of nowhere. He just rushes the stage. Amazing.
Rushes it.
Mm,
The flat stage.
you got it. This one coming in from Noah's Ark, Kansas says, previous question, what was the globe Earth or refuting flat Earth has done for your life slash family? I already know Allan and Shane have nothing, which is why I don't ask them. Aw, come on. Jimmy Madison 42 says, Shane, now do inertial tide on the opposite side.
Ooh, that'll be good. Anxious for this.
Okay.
You're talking about the solar and lunar tidal acceleration with the, the moon exerts 2.1 more forces, gravitational forces than the sun. Is that what he means? I don't know. We can keep talking about tides, but it really doesn't matter because what controls it are infodromic points, right? The tidal nodes, points of zero tidal amplitude around which the tidal amplitude oscillates.
That's not the cause.
That's what directly is causing the high and low tides.
That's not.
You said it was the sun and moon before.
Yeah.
So it's causing neap and spring. So highest high and lowest low is directly caused by the sun and moon proximity. But on the daily tidal amplitude high tide is infodromic points, topography, winds, that sort of thing.
This one coming in from PhD Tony strikes again, says MCToon. If tides are not gravitational, as your idiot interlocutors claim, why are they detected by gravimeters? What causes solid Earth and ATM tides?
Yeah, that's it. That's a big challenge. Gravimeters are able to detect the varying gravitational pull associated with that match tides. So it's a confirmation. You can set up a hypothesis, null hypothesis, and it will definitely confirm gravity exists. The Earth is a globe. Tides are caused by the moon and sun and their gravitational pull.
Submarines navigate using gradiometry, gravitational gradiometry, measuring the differences in the gravitational waves.
By the way, we do have a few more questions, but folks, McGlobeface and MCToon and Shane and Allan are all linked in the description. Folks, if you enjoy these topics, there's value from hearing even from the opposite side, straight from them. You can go check out their channels right now. They're linked in the description box. It's even hyperlinked, so it's so easy. It's just one single click and boom, you're at their channel. You can check out their content right now as we go through these last few questions. This one from Jesse. Allan, I'm going to debate you on a neutral platform whether you show up or not. You cannot run from your lies forever. You didn't go over stuff as said.
No one cares. Jesse's ignored. No one gives a shit what Jesse says. Being a despicable individual doesn't give you license to repeat shit like that.
Child of Yahweh MD says, I put the peer-reviewed source in the chat showing negative K value at surface.
Peer-reviewed by other flat earthers?
Well, I don't know what he's talking about because are you talking about the FE core measurement or are you talking about something else? Anyway, you go to my website, mctoon.net/refraction. I have a large list of empirical measurements of refraction, but I'll look at the chat, see if we can find the citation you're talking about.
This one, last one, the man respect X says, if you were eating for your life, how many hot dogs plain with the bun, could you eat in 5 minutes?
Ooh, maybe like 20 before I got disgusted at the idea of eating that many hot dogs.
Hmm.
Like hot dogs in general, just like I'm not a big
What
hot
are you, a
dogger.
skinny Asian lad? What the hell?
Dude, but like the mental thing, like they're gross. I couldn't have 20 of them inside of me and then like keep them down. I would reject it.
Oh, nobody clipped that audio.
Well,
Oh,
Nobody.
yeah.
Don't
How
do
many
it.
hot
Don't do it,
dogs?
anybody.
How many hot dogs you can keep inside of him?
you're going to
I
jail.
just child of Yahweh, fake MD. I couldn't find your citation. You can email it to me, MCToon at MCToon.net if you want, or post the I don't know, post the ID.
This one coming from, oh, I think we got that. Because, yeah, what is it like Joey Chestnut? He's still the champ, right? Like 10 minutes he ate. What's the most recent? Has he been, he's got like the world record, right? On the 4th of July. This is important,
I
MC
stopped
Tune.
following it just months ago. You know, I was so into it.
He was so close to
See,
keeping up on it. Just
Yeah, I mean,
he
just,
lost it.
if that's not fun and
I don't know.
entertaining, I don't know what is on a 4th of July. And then what's more American than that? Bob says, I missed the debate. Who won? Well, we'll put a what is this called? Poll in the chat. It's Mutton Chopper says, ask MC Tune if he knows what an interferometer is.
interferometer.
Oh, yes, they did say that. And they said if he knows, and ask him who measured the contraction that special relativity completely relies on.
I do know what an interferometer is. And the answer then to the next question is who measured the contraction? Well, the contraction would be that special relativity relies on. That would be was confirmed.
Lorentz contraction. So you need to ask him the dynamic cause of the Lorentz contraction, I think.
They said who
He
measured it.
asked who measured it.
You got it.
So so the Lorentz contraction was confirmed in the muon tests.
This one coming. Okay, let's see. We've got a poll in chat. So, folks, this is your chance. This is like the great big poll because we've basically read all the questions. We've certainly gone through like all the open dialogue and all the opening statements, etc. Like this is it, the final poll, the one that counts for all the marbles. While we are letting people vote, it's closer than you might expect. Check out our guest links in the description box. Seriously, the guests are the lifeblood of the channel. And folks, for real, this channel just wouldn't exist. It's not that it would suck. It just wouldn't even be. It wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for our guests. Like they make this fun. Huge thank you to them. Even like MC Tune, you know. So we just appreciate them and watching. We're longtime friends, so it's like it's okay. But yeah. The poll is active right now, folks. Also, if you do check on their links, which I encourage you to do that right now, that's at the podcast as well. Folks, if you didn't know, I hadn't mentioned, all of our debates end up on a podcast, our podcast, and it's available via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. If you haven't checked out Modern Day Debate via podcast, it's amazing, and it has way less ads than YouTube. This one coming in from Lene 2 says suggestion: watch Ed Horb movement of the Earth. Okay.
I can answer I didn't know who. I had to look it up. So who did the measured the contraction for the muon test? That was published by David Frisch and James Smith in 1962. That's the one that I've used in references before. People did it before. People have done it since.
Okay. All right. We're gonna wrap up here. The Basil Problem just said, Shane, have you ever been with a woman? Okay.
Oh, the answer is there's actually 3 videos about that I have on my channel, but you need a lifetime membership to the VIP access to get the Ether Cause bundle, right? To get the sweatshirt at spaceaudits.coffee to get the hat and the t-shirt, and then you can get the answer to that in 3 videos, 3 video form.
I desperately want to know the answer to that question.
Gotta get
I
a
just
t-shirt.
signed up as you were saying that, and I'm still, yeah. So, folks, I can tell you, if you want to know about Shane's Sex life. What are you waiting for? Just click on that. And but yes,
You subscribe to his
MCToon.
only Shane's?
OnlyFans
right.
comes with on the premium package. I think we should have said that.
There's the last question I think I missed. This one was from Child of Yahweh says, no, peer reviewed by Journal of Geophysical Research, MCToon card.
All right, well, send it. I don't see it in my inbox right now. So I mean, you can post the DOI link or just the DOI in the chat because you can't do links, or email it to me. There you go.
Okay. I think that's it. And the poll, I'm going to look over at the poll right now, folks. Now's your time, your chance before I close the poll. And this is going to end up in the live chat, which will be preserved for eternity. Okay. Here's the conclusion of the poll. Team Globe with 66% was voted most persuasive tonight. Flat Earth got 33%.
Freemasons, obvious Freemasons.
I think that's just how many people of the viewers were globe and how many were flat. I think that's all that tells us. But okay, congratulations, fellas.
That's probably true.
Thank you.
Now, Child of Yahweh MD says that I skipped their last question. No, I just read this. They said no, peer reviewed by Journal of Geophysical Research. MCToon already answered it. Just scroll back like 120 seconds. You could find it. I want to say thank you so much. Yeah, I did add McToon card. Sorry about that. MCToon, you're my boy.
So, all good, all good.
But yes.
Well, this was fun.
Thank you guys. I'll let you go. Folks, check out our guest links in the description box. We appreciate them. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to have you, Allan, Shane, McGlobeface, and MCToon.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Globey, guys.
All right,
Been
thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
You guys take
See ya.
care. Folks,
You
stick
too.
around. I'm going to be back in just a moment with a post-credit scene. Oh, yeah, you can actually still see me. So let me just log in the old Zoom. All right, I know that some people might have been offended tonight. And folks, there's no reason to get worked up, okay? We're having a good time here. But I do appreciate you. I feel like the best way, so the reason why you might be like, James, why did you use those ethnic slurs? I feel like the best way of taking away their power is you just use them casually, you know? Because so if someone calls me like they're like, oh, James, I want to eat a cracker. Is that if someone calls you that, it's like it loses its power if we just use it all the time. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, like it's kind of like if you have like a certain food like all the time. I'll give you an example. A friend I know won free Subway for life. He loved Subway his whole life. And he loved Subway when he won free Subway for life. But after he had Subway every single day for like 60 days, he was kind of like, this doesn't have that oomph to it that it used to have. Thanks for your super chat. Mutton Chopper says MCToon has more Lego than he does sense. I don't know what that means. But the idea is, if you treat it casually, if you do it all the time, then it just like loses its power, its oomph, or So yeah, I do want to say we appreciate you being here. Clock, I see you there in the old live chat. Says we see non-repeating events in the sky in real time. Is the sky a TV? Oh, I don't know. That's interesting. But do want to say thanks for your support, folks. Seriously, appreciate you. Max M, we appreciate you. And Evan, thanks for your kind words. Appreciate you being here. Moomin Rider, thank you for dropping in. Christian Avalos, happy to have you here. AG, glad that you came by. Paul Walker, Texas Ranger, thanks for coming by. What? Happy to have you. Christian Avalos, happy to have you here. Mr. Xavier, glad you're with us. Max M, thanks for being a channel member. Amazing. Child of Yahweh MD, thanks for being here with us and thanks for your super chats tonight. And also Marilyn, thanks for coming by. I think we all are on to Marilyn. We know that Marilyn is actually, Chris from Georgia, 55 brown hair guy. We don't judge you, but be careful. Marilyn in the old live chat is definitely a catfish. some men get off to like posing as women on the internet. It's weird. No judgment here, but yeah. Moomin Rider says, "What's your stack, James?" I will tell you. I honestly, the biggest thing is just, being really consistent. Like I love to work out. It's just fun. So I do lift. Like, yeah, I enjoy it. It's just fun, and it's also just great for your brain too. And I would say the only supplements that are really like worth it, honestly, now I'm even down to like I used to say whey protein, but whey protein has some potential downsides. So, it's convenient, and I think that it's like the real, it's real protein in most cases. I wouldn't use like the Walmart brand, but creatine really is like the only supplement that I'd be like, hey, that will help. But that only helps as much as you lift weights. Like if you just like chill out and you're not really actually going hard, in the weight room, then it's like, meh, not really gonna help. But yeah, creatine really is like I would say caffeine is another one. You should have caffeine before your workout. Like there is research to like I would say caffeine. That the nice thing is they're both cheap as dirt, and they're both like definitely make a difference for your workouts. So, but I want to say thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I wish I had something like cooler. I know that there's like more high octane stuff. Like if you get into the hormone stuff, like I've never gotten into the hormone stuff. I've always just the creatine is like the most like advanced I've ever done. I've just never had like I've never had a big enough interest to try any of the hormone stuff. By that I mean like testosterone or something. So um I don't really know anything about it. And Max M says canned chicken. Yeah, I mean that's all right. I do love rotisserie chicken. I do love eggs though. I think eggs are like probably underrated. One of the bad things, I don't know if I'd say bad for some, is that whey protein is like so chock full of amino acids and branched chain amino acids that it can actually be kind of like your BUN can spike. I've had that before, although that's also probably because they just have too much protein in general. Um, but eggs are like a great protein that you can have where you don't have to worry about your BUN, your blood urea and nitrogen spiking. Eggs are phenomenal. Like they're just awesome. Your body can use them so well to build muscle. Noah's Ark, Kansas. Thanks for your super chat. Thank you. Says question for chat. What was the argument that persuaded you to switch sides? Interesting, folks. Is there an argument that you were like, this actually did change my mind on this topic? I'm gonna get up and stretch, but don't worry, I'm gonna still be here. I've got to like move really careful because my back gets insanely tight if I sit this long. And right now I can just feel it. My back is like ready to. It gets weird where it's like, oh, I can feel it. It gets really tight, but it also like almost feels like flimsy where I like it just feels like it's not strong and supported. It just feels like almost like a noodle where like it like sometimes I'm like, oh, like I don't know why. It'll get better on its own. I'll figure it out. Oh, but I'm trying to stretch. Now check out my boy Andy, my cousin. This is Andy's Pontoon Saloon. If you live in Wisconsin, I want to say, if you live in Wisconsin, do check out my cousin Andy's restaurant. So if you live, see where the star is, anywhere near this location in Wisconsin, I think it's Eagle River. I should know this. Go there, okay? Go to Andy's Pontoon Saloon. Andy's my cousin. He's a great guy. Uh, and he's also just doing an epic, like awesome job at running his new saloon. It's like just it won like a state award, like best new like restaurant in the state. So yeah, but yeah, he's a great guy. Like good, honest. He's like what those Wisconsin people are made out of. They're just good and loyal. Like, but yeah, let's see. Mm. AG says beta back, just like Hake. That's funny. I remember that. That's so funny. Oh man. Amazing. Like 90 going north. But yeah, I want to say thank you guys for your support. I am excited about many things. I do want to say Marilyn says, hey James, I went to school for massage therapy, my guy. That's so funny. Oh, that's Earl. Earl the postman is like, oh yeah, James, let me help you out. Let me give you a good massage. Like, oh, tell me how much you'd love me giving you a massage. Oh yeah, like, and so no, I gotta say no, thank you. I appreciate it, Marilyn, but no, thank you. Because that's what that is like on the other end. Because they'd love to like hear you say like, oh, I'd love a massage from you, and they're like, oh yeah, I bet you would. Oh, but yeah. Hmm. Tommy Jarvis says, I'm gonna road trip to Modern Day Eatery. That is like I went here personally, and I got to tell you, it was a great time. Now, what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna try to do a little stretching here. My back is so tight. You know what I'm gonna have? I'm gonna have like a huge plate full of eggs in just a minute. And yeah, I do love eggs. I have mayo on them because I don't know, can you guys tell that I've been like losing weight? Because I've been trying to figure out like what I was having this fatigue and it was had something to do with food. Um Now my face, yeah, is like cuz my face is like looks thinner. Can you tell like my cheeks are just kind of sunk in? It's hard to tell now that the lighting is so bad. But don't worry, Sean, my boy Sean is coming in about a week and he's gonna help me get like a softbox set up so that I'll have like good lighting finally. But yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Now let's see here. I'm gonna get out of here in just a sec because I do need to actually like walk around and then because my back. I got a beta back. And Marilyn retracted a message. See, that doesn't look suspicious. Because I said it, I was like, oh, Marilyn's like, Earl, the 65-year-old, like, and he's probably like a really like hairy guy. And like Marilyn retracted a message because I called it out. Marilyn was probably like, oh yeah, like tell me you'd love a massage from me. But yeah. Now I gotta tell you guys, I mm, says Marilyn says, I swear you're gonna get me to stalk your ass for justice. You're going to jail, Earl. But yeah, yeah. So it's like a real thing on Twitter. People do that, and on YouTube too. But what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, I just found out that I'm like 3% Swedish. Isn't that crazy? I don't look Swedish, do I? Uh, it's true. And I'm also, so I think it was like I was primarily like Northern European, but not Swedish is like a tiny percent of that. And then I'm very German, if you can't tell from my last name. But yeah. But yeah, hey, let me know where you guys are from. Maryland says I hate it here. Um, Maryland hates Alabama, which is like where Earl the postman is. And Professor Parks, PhD, where are you from, Professor Parks? Folks, I'm in Las Vegas. So Clock says, James, how long did you take to get the doctorate? Oh, it was 6 years. And oh, my back. Oh gosh. Oh. But yeah, it was a long 6 years because during that 6 years, I mean, it's just long in general. To get a PhD is like an awfully long time commitment. But then it's also, uh, yeah, so it was 6 years. So I just finished the PhD about a year ago. Uh, Technically, I think it was like 9 months ago, where it was like official, where the diploma, everything wrapped up. And now I just am finishing up, like within a week or so, I should be done teaching forever. I haven't told them that yet. I've only told them that I don't want to teach this summer, but I don't want to teach. I'm actually not going to teach anymore. I'm going to go full time with Modern Day Debate, and we're going to take this channel and we're going to slam fucking dunk. We're just going to crush it. It's going to be so good. You won't even believe it. Believe me. We are going to be running the table. Modern Day Debate for real. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You're like, oh, like, okay. But for real. We are going to do so many big things this year, like big in person event, like monster guests, where it's going to be like, whoa, like modern. You're going to say, for real, you're going to be like, oh, so subscribe now, folks, because you're looking at it and I'm grateful. Like, thank you to everybody who has subscribed because it is cool. Like 221,000 subs we just passed is that's awesome. And at the same time, like subscribe now while we're small because this is just the beginning of our story. And it doesn't matter how many roadblocks are in our path. We are going to be a locomotive cruising down the railway, smashing through everything in our way. Modern Day Debate is providing a neutral debate platform so that everybody has their chance to make their case on a level playing field. We believe that YouTube deserves a better class of debate channel, and we're going to give it to them. Is a fully neutral one where modern day debate doesn't have any positions. Like, we're not flat earth, we're not globe earth, we're not atheist, we're not Christian. Like, now there are obviously people, and the, like, for example, like, you guys know where I stand. And then Ryan, I think, is like an agnostic or something. So we have positions as people, but like modern day debate as like an entity is that we're like, hey, we don't want to have like any official position. So yes, but yes, let's see. One, two. Max M sent 5 Modern Day Debate gift memberships. Thanks so much, Max M. Seriously, that means more than you know. That is awesome. Thanks for doing that, Max. Seriously, that really does mean a lot. This channel is so fun, and I'm so excited for the future. And yeah, you will look back and you'll be like, oh, remember, like, it'll be so big in the future that you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, remember when you were at like 221,000? And you're just like kind of like small and starting out, still kind of a small enterprise. We are going to take over. Now, thanks for your support again, Max M. Seriously, that's awesome. And then Marilyn says, I already told James I'll be in Vegas this summer. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. I'm frightened. Yeah. Oh man. Is that I'm just afraid, that someone will approach me and it'll be like a really short and hairy guy. It'll be like, hey, how's it going? And I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And it'll be like, it's me, Marilyn. But that's gonna happen this summer. I'm gonna be walking around in Vegas. And they're gonna be like, hey, I found where you live, James. Mind if I move in? Like, but yeah, so I am excited though. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm excited to go take a walk and get my back in good order and have a tremendous, tremendous plate of eggs. I'm gonna have so many eggs, you won't even believe it. And but yeah, so I am excited, and we will see you guys in the future. We do have a lot of debates coming up. So Monday, there's going to be a debate between Alex Stein and Pisco on Trump versus Biden, who is a better president. That is going to be a strong debate. I'm excited for that, and I have to let Ryan debate. I have to let Ryan host some of the big ones, so I'm actually going to let Ryan host that. Ugh. Um, but good for him. He deserves it. Ryan's awesome. Ryan's been like this channel would have faltered so much at certain points when I was doing my PhD, like the dissertation especially, but Ryan was willing to jump in, and he still jumps in for me now when I'm like like behind with grading. Norek, thanks for your super chat. Says looking forward to future debate con in Pineville. That's funny. It's not really in Pineville, folks. It's going to be in Nashville. But I actually did reach out to a venue today as we're trying to finalize where that'll be. Now, uh, this is going to be on Monday, or no. So that's Monday. I told you about that. Alex Stein versus Pisco, and then also Uh, First Amender versus Rachel Wilson will finally happen 1 week from now on Friday, no, it's Thursday, May 15th. And then Daniel Hakikachu is supposed to be debating 1 week from today against a Hindu fellow on Islam versus Hinduism. Which religion is more violent? So that's going to be controversial. But yeah. Thank you guys. Seriously, appreciate you. Norak is his first offender. That's funny. He's not an offender. Max M, thanks for your channel membership. Tyson Dog, thanks for your channel membership. John McClure, thanks for coming by. And let's see, Norek, thanks for your support. Fat and Black, thanks for being here. It says moderator sucks. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Dylan Motes, thanks for coming by. Norek, glad that you're here. And John McClure, Clock, Marilyn, thanks for all of your guys' support. I see a Brendan. Brentos, Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Heart Bender, thanks for being here. AG, glad that you were here. Paul Walker, Texas Ranger, thanks for your support. And Swagakuro, thank you for your support and being with us. We will see you guys at the next one. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable and have a great rest of your Friday night. Oh, I forgot. Folks, that GoFundMe, that I'm going to put it in the top of the live chat. We do appreciate your support. Is right now we are raising funds for these camera lenses. So you might be thinking, like, why? I don't understand, James Wilk. Why? Why don't you just rent them? So we rented them for DebateCon. So we know what they're capable of. They're awesome. They're great lenses. People are like, well, I just rent them again. It's like, well, we know that we're going to use them so much, like so often, that it's actually financially smarter to just buy them. Because if we rent them over and over and over, the rental cost will actually exceed what it would cost to just buy them. So we're like, hey, we're going to buy them. And we would appreciate your help as we strive to meet that goal. And we are currently close to the halfway point. So we're excited about that. And I've got to tell you, we're excited about the future. Big things are coming. Thank you guys for all of your support at GoFundMe. Oh, I just realized that I've got to like update the little like preface for that. Yeah. Okay. I gotta fix that. I'm gonna do that really quick. I want to make sure I don't forget it. Thank you guys. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. I love you. Thanks for being awesome. We're close to 200 likes. So it's actually just a couple more people. If you hit that like button, we'll hit 200 likes for this stream. Just a couple people away. So thanks for your support with that. And then I'm also going to just do a quick little adjustment right here. Where is this? There it is. Okay. So change these upload defaults. Link to our camera, lens, GoFundMe. I'm going to change this to GoFund. Okay. But yeah, thank you guys. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. We'll see you at the next debate.